Welcome, everyone, to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Trustees here in the Charter Township of Washington. Today is Wednesday, July 13th, 2022. If you'll all stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If Mr. Babinski can please do the roll call.
Olson.
Here.
Tatowski.
Here.
Praviti.
Here.
Kopp.
Here.
Polad. Here. And Babinski is here. Nicely is absent.
Excuse me. Next, you see before you the agenda. You're being asked, if there's any amendment, if there's any adjustments, additions, deletions, or motions.
Yeah, Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to add 5.4 accounts payable. Weren't able to get the packets out in time, got them out to the board on Tuesday, I believe it was. So if that could be 5.4 accounts payable for 7/8/22. Add 5.5 of the consent judgment to closed session meeting minutes
Of June 15th.
of June 15th, correct.
Okay.
And then under new business, we are going to combine 10.6 with 10.2 as discussed with the planning director and Givels Webster.
Okay.
And then lastly, we're going to add to closed session, item 14.2, to consider the purchase of real property pursuant to the section 8D of the Open Meetings Act. I'll make a motion to accept those changes and approval.
I will support.
Motion by Babinski, seconded by Tatowski. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Next, before you see the consent agenda, you're being asked to approve the minutes of the Board of Trustees from June 15, 2022, accept the Building Department monthly report of June 2022, approve the Parks and Recreation accounts payable for June 17th, June 24th, July 1st, and July 8th, approve the accounts payable of July 8, 2022, and approve the closed session minutes of June 15, 2022.
I'd like to take accounts payable out. I have one item for discussion.
So I'll move that to 6.1. So I'll make that, that's a motion with taking that out. Is that okay?
Yeah, yes.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Next is moved agenda item 6.1, accounts payable of July 8, 2022.
Yeah, what I'm bringing up right now is under the Township Board, under miscellaneous items, we have Al's Aerial Spraying LLC paying for Spongy Moth on 6/10 of '22 for $13,985.66. It should not be coming out of the Township Board Fund. That should be coming out of Road, Storms, and Right-of-Way Fund. We had set aside $25,000 for that under invasive species control.
Okay. Yeah, we can ask the
Yep,
accountant.
yeah, we'll make that adjustment.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I move that we approve that.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Tatowski, seconded by Babinski to make the journal entry correction for the, as noted. Do we have to do roll call or all? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Next is comments from the audience on non-agenda items. If anybody has anything non-agenda related you'd like to address the board, now's the time. Yeah, please come up. Please state your name and please try to keep it 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name's Dave J. I live at 8303 Washel, same house for 31 years here in Washington Township. I was pleasantly surprised to see that West Road was getting paved. My wife and I bicycle a lot, not just on the Orchard Trail, but in the neighborhoods. But I certainly hope that some concern will be focused on the shoulders in many parts of West Road are between 4 and 6 inches above the grade. And as we all know, that if you don't have drainage away from the sides of the road, and this is even above the crown of the road, the tip of the road, the water's going to get in with the trucks that come into the grain elevator and construction. It can crack, and usually the ditching is done before the paving because so that the heavy trucks don't bar the asphalt. So I certainly hope that the investment of the time and the inconvenience won't go to waste prematurely, that some of the shoulders would be taken down. I called you a little bit earlier this week about that. Thank you.
Well, thank you. We'll be sure to, we've been working with the county on that, so we'll follow up on that. I think they're, for those of you that have seen it, they're actually above schedule. They've already paved it. They're doing all the approaches right now, and they're doing a lot of the curb cutting and approaches. So I think they're actually moving way above schedule, but there's still time for cleanup and actually any of the vegetation that's been moved, the grass and the lawn stuff. Any other non-agenda items? Okay. Next is legal counsel? No. Nothing? Okay, move on to unfinished business. Move on to 9.1, the awarding of single waste hauler contracts starting October 1st, 2022. And I'll let, I guess, Stan can explain it. He put the bidding process out. So.
Yep, so we went back out to bid this year as we did last year, and we had no more extensions to continue on with GFL, so it had to go out to bid. We had 4 people show up to the mandatory meeting prior to the bidding process, and 3 people end up bidding. That was GFL, Priority Waste, and Waste Management. They put together various packages for the residents, as the board had stated what our concerns were from the last one. Just regular trash, trash with yard waste, trash with recycling, and then the combination of all 3 of them. So the board has been provided with all the information that was put forth, and let them know also what other ancillary things were mentioned in the proposals that the 3 put together. Our contract expires October 1st, actually it's September 31st, but October 1st would be the new contract. And that's about all I have to say right now.
I know we have representatives here tonight. I don't know if we should be able to let them call them up now. Or,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know who would like to come up first. So.
While they're coming up, I just want to thank them all for
Yeah.
putting in a bid. They don't have an easy job. They all do, I think, a great job in the communities they serve. Everyone's got issues and problems at times, and they try to rectify those issues and problems as they come forth.
Good evening, Supervisor Pravetti and board members. Don Barretto with GFL Environmental. We were one of the 3 people that bid on the contract. We've been your provider for the last 7 years and 9 months. You had a pretty good look at us. As we have in the past 2 times, we've submitted our proposal based on what you asked us for. We've given you our best pricing. I'd be glad to answer any questions. Some enhancement we had that were under our tab was our rewards for recycling program, which is a volunteer or an honor system for rewards, discounts, and coupons. We have an enhanced bulk waste collection, which we take multiple pieces of bulk items. We also have in there that we continue to do all of the special projects that we have done in the past almost 8 years, and that's the 2 shredding events and the 1 hazardous waste event, which are always really exciting to do, and we usually get very good participation. We've also, as you requested, we have the annual payment incentive, where if you pay for 11 months, you get the 12th months free. We have in our veterans discount along with senior discount. And of course, you have the snowbird 30 to 90 day exemption if you're out of town. So I'd be glad to answer any questions you have for us. We are probably the only provider that's in Southeast Michigan that has our own recycling center over on South Huron River Road in New Boston. We have a brand new one being built in the city of Pontiac. It'll be the biggest one in the state of Michigan. We have our own compost site to make sure that we have a place that we can process our composting. And we have a landfill over in Arbor Hills, make sure that we have a place that we can, take care of all the solid waste we pick up at the curb. We have a number of transfer stations where if there's any problems, we can always transfer it. And we look forward to hopefully being your provider for the next 3 years. And I'm glad to answer any questions that you may have.
So Don, I had a question regarding the carts. I'm aware that there are some people that have been leasing, and under this contract, there is no lease program. What will happen with those people who have those carts? Are they going to be assumed as though they're paid off, or if you were to get the contract?
Yes, we're going to, that was brought up at the pre-bid meeting. And what's going to happen, we're going to maintain the cart program the way it is. The recycling carts will continue to be free. And anybody that is currently leasing or renting one of our containers, that will end October 1st. So there will be nobody will be charged for any rental or lease going forward.
I don't really have any questions, but you're pretty much doing everything that you've been doing the last 5 or 6 years, correct?
I'm sorry?
As of right now, all your services that you're bidding are the same in which you had the last 4 or 5 years, correct?
Yes, it'll be
Nothing's changed.
unlimited solid waste service for residential communities, and it'll be unlimited bulk again, and recycling, unlimited recycling and yard waste. Yes.
Because I noticed that most of your rates are gradually going up, while another provider, his rates are much lower starting off, but then they're higher at the end. So it's going to be kind of difficult to make a decision on a certain plans on here. But I will deal with that when priority comes in, because I have a couple of questions to them.
Well, no, I mean, it's completely different now than it was just a few months ago. I mean, things have gone up considerably. I mean, as we sit here right now, fuel, oil products, and DEF fluid continue to go up, almost on a daily basis. I mean, we put together what we thought was the very best pricing for everybody in the township, and that was a fair rate for household solid waste, and then very, very good pricing for both recycling and yard waste. And, from our past experience, we find that most people want all 3 services plus bulk waste. So that's why our price is the way it is right now. And those prices are fixed in there for the first 3 years and in the optional, in the second optional 3 years.
Okay, thank you.
We're good?
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
The representative is a priority now.
Good evening, Council. Thanks for having us out tonight. Todd Stamper, Priority Waste. This is Dan Benet. Well, they work on...
Can you pull the mic to you, please?
Yes, absolutely. Sorry about that. See if Dan can pull this up.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys want to slide down.
Especially those heat lamps that feel like they're up there. Thanks, Cindy. That one for sure. If you want to do the other one, it's fine too. Can you guys see?
One's over here.
If someone wants to grab the lights right around the corner there, they can flick those so you guys can see
We
better.
just don't want you
Thanks,
to
Don.
see us. We just want you-
Geez, that'll help.
Thank you.
Oh, I can't see my notes. Right.
Yeah, we can.
Just in case.
Mark,
Need some lights.
Thank you.
technology never works.
Thank you very much.
Says that you're offline. Are you on guest? Yep, let me know when you need the message. It's CTW MI 57900.
I love technology. We're on. Good.
I'm gonna dismiss you as the presenter and then make you, okay, now reconnect. Making you the presenter.
Yeah.
Look at that. All else fails. Disconnect and try again.
Oh, there, it's working.
Dan, you only have 3 minutes, so you better hurry up.
So Dan, we'll get through these slides pretty quick.
No, don't worry, we're joking.
So again, council, thank you for having us out tonight. We appreciate the opportunity to bid. As we go through, Dan, go ahead. Core values of priority waste is to be involved in the fabric of each community we do service in. Many of our communities, we go above and beyond. As far as Christmas parades, whatever is, any type of value we can bring outside to be a part of the community, we really hammer that home to everybody in our staff. Go ahead, Dan. We're a leading independent solid waste company in Southeast Michigan. We partner with WM on our disposal sites. We also own and control one of the largest transfer stations in the city of Detroit, where we move between 1,500 and 2,000 tons a day, pretty flawlessly. So it's nice to have that backup in case a landfill was to shut down or there was any type of emergency work. And speaking of emergency work, when we took over Flint, the prior provider had basically bailed on them for 2 to 3 months prior to us coming in. We had 2 weeks to launch that city, and we partnered with another hauler, actually WM, and Priority Waste paid WM for 3 weeks, and we brought 40 trucks in every weekend, and we cleaned up thousands of tons. We cleaned up every alley, and the reasoning for that was, in 90 days, I would have owned that trash anyways. They would have forgot about their previous provider. But B, it was the right thing to do. We ate a $160,000 bill to right-size that community, which we would all agree Flint deserved. Again, part of the community, huge. Our drivers, through safety training and any type of training, it's all about efficiency. But if we have an opportunity where kids or somebody needs help, we had an instance I apologize, this was last summer. Drivers were going down the street, there was a heavy windstorm, one of the trampolines picked up, flew over on somebody's car, drivers immediately jumped out and gave them a hand. Try to bring some old school core values to each community and continue to do the right thing as we go through those communities. We've put together something new. We call it the Priority Waste Advisory Board, where we invite our municipal leaders to a specific location, and we bring in public speakers. Our speaker coming in the August 10th, there'll be 15 communities that'll be invited there. It's not really a big thing for Priority Waste to be and try and connect. We come in and we generally back out. And the speaker this time is the head of recycling for the state of Michigan. And basically we kick ideas back and forth on maybe issues one community's having versus another, and they can communicate on all trying to get better at not only performing, picking up the waste, but getting better at recycling or any other areas that one city might have successes where another one doesn't. It's been very popular, and it's working out, making us better, as well as making our communities better. Our fleet technology, although we struggled with it here, this is really why I wanted to present this, and I'm very grateful you guys gave us the time. When we started Priority Waste, we kind of kicked around business disruption a little bit, and that's generally when you take a business that's been the same way for years and years and years, and you try to make it better. And we've advanced so much in technology. Some of the companies, the cameras will come with the trucks for backup. Some trucks will have a front camera. I know WM uses a camera that faces the driver for safety. And we've kind of taken it to the next step. Go to the next page. All of our fleets we've invested millions of dollars in these fleets. They have 5 camera systems on them. What this allows us to do is in real time, and we set up for a single user at each community where they have a dashboard. And in that dashboard, they can real time request video if there was an incident, or if somebody did something good, bad, or indifferent. But on the recycling side, where it's very important, our hoppers have a camera in them. So when we have somebody who doesn't recycle properly, coat hangers, Christmas lights, oil, things that don't belong in there, our tablets, we're able to dump that hopper. The gentlemen or women who are driving our vehicles can see it. They hit on their tablet in our software that there is a issue, and if that issue happens again, we can put a sticker on their can that actually says, contact Priority Waste. We've noticed some things in your recycling. Every community kind of designs their sticker a little different. This is something we've just started launching 30 days ago. And the ideology behind all of this is, in this disruption, how do we bring you guys in our trucks? How do we bring you in real time? You guys would have access to real-time dashboards, through our CRMs, our calls that come in, missed stops. If there's a repeat offender that maybe continually puts their trash out late, we generally don't hassle anybody for putting their trash out late. We go back and pick it up. But if it's somebody that's consistent, if somebody puts a 40-yard dumpster rebuilding their house, and yes, we will pick up the bulk items, but if it becomes something that's a little bit out of control, we have real time to all of that. We've had situations where 99% of the time, by having these vehicles on there, and it does record voice, if there's any type of situation, 99% of the time, it tells a different story than what someone else is being told. But the most important thing to me particularly is when the recycling material is contaminated, it's very easy for the recycling centers to call that contaminated and just sweep it and take it to the landfill. So we call it at the curb. So everything happens at the curb for us. You guys contract us, you guys pay us, and where we can help you get better is everything being real time. We've taken that to another step. If you've all been to a casino before, you've got the dealer, then you have a pit boss, and then you have the eye in the sky. So how to create that is there's GPS, and that's great, so we know where our trucks are. So if you have 200 trucks, you might be able to see what they are, but what are they doing? What are our drivers doing? How do we bring our drivers into our life so they're not on an island? How do we make them feel a part of a team so they do a better job? How do we, in a post-COVID world, keep employees with us? And this is where our success has come through. So we have you can go through, Dan. And I actually want to show you a real quick video of the 5 cameras in the truck and display it. And then I'll tell you how we've kind of brought this all together so that everybody's on the same team. We lose it, Dan? There you go. Click on it to make it bigger so they can see it when you get it in, please. So as you can see, I believe this is in Taylor. And you have front, back, side, and you can see in the lower left the hopper. See them dump the can right now. Our drivers are able to see, not only on the recycling side, we do it on the trash side too. I'm sure the other haulers would agree that when you put batteries and things like that in your trucks and they catch on fire, it's not a good thing. So we try to make sure for the safety of the driver. It just benefits everybody. I mean, all the technology that is that we've built ourselves and subcontracted to other providers, it's just amazing what we can do now. So by bringing these into the trucks, we're creating safety, we're making our people feel like they're a part of the team, and it gives the municipalities real-time access to any events, or if somebody did good, bad, or indifferent. We go through these videos, we monitor them. We had an issue in a city about a week and a half ago, and I'll be 100% honest with you, it was actually Friday at 5:30, and the driver had 6 houses left to go, and he thought that the recycling truck was off route, so he just grabbed those 6 cans, flipped them in, the recycling material in there. That Saturday, we already had gone through it, talked with the driver, and I can show you through, Dan, flip to the cookie crumb page, please. That we were able to show the city, after a resident had brought to their attention, we were able to show them that our recycling truck was really on the next street. The driver should have never done that. We had already talked to the driver and said, hey, you can't do that. You don't get to unilaterally decide to dump any garbage in that truck. So even when we are at fault, we're honorable to the fact that we are going to fix it. At no point in time in this particular city did we mix trash with recycling, and the truck was right behind it, and a driver made an error, and he was written up for that error, and he was retrained. And these are the types of things that make us better, right? Humans are going to be humans. I mean, mistakes are going to happen. People are going to make decisions that are outside of the box, but the more we can bring them into our world to train and I don't like the word control, but train and make them a part of our successes, the more successful the whole relationship is. So here's some of the data analysts and the dashboards that you guys can have access to. Everyone's looks a little different. So this will show you call volumes, if you have a holiday, if people put trash out early, what our standards should be, what your expectations are, what our goals are. And everybody has access. Whoever you designate would have access if you so choose to use it. And really, truly, when we work together, it really becomes a partnership, and you can really, in real time, pinpoint where you're having an issue, where you're having a recycling issue, where you're having a driver issue, if a truck broke down, and you can bring, it justifies anything we're telling you because you're a part of it. It's all right here. And finally, this is the eye in the sky. So we just leased 20-something thousand square feet. We're moving into a new building at Hall Road and Romeo Plank. And this is our reps control hub. It's our routing excellence performance system. So basically, for every 10 trucks, there'll be a quality control person, and they actually real-time look at that last page you looked at and can follow the trucks. What this tells you is that we set it up for if a truck is sitting more than 2 minutes, if a truck is sitting more than 5 minutes, that it's going to send an alert to their personal assistant that is watching what they have going on. So now they start to feel like they're a part of it. So anytime a city calls, if there's a missed stop, anything, we're just trying to get better. And the way things have been done for years, we really, outside of, hey, we have GPS on our trucks, we haven't used technology to become better. And Priority Waste's goal is to be better every day, bring technology in so we can alleviate problems and take care of any problems that happen immediately. We've invested a lot in this, and we feel this is the future of our industry, and we feel it's time for these little changes to happen to make us better. So it's better for the public, it's better for the municipalities, it's better for our commercial customers, and it holds us accountable to truly be the best company in the state of Michigan. So I appreciate everyone's time, and any questions you have, Dan or myself are absolutely willing to answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Whoa. Bar's closed.
Yeah, no, you still got to do that.
Like coming
The
home
stage
from the
light.
bar at 4 a.m.
Don't do that.
And then someone can open those.
So I've heard.
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
One of our residents is severely handicapped, and his house is probably, I'm going to guess, 150 feet off of the road.
Okay.
Currently, the GFL driver parks the truck, walks all the way up to the front of his house, grabs the garbage can, wheels it all the way down to the truck. When bucket's empty, wheels it all the way back. Do you have a policy either for or against this?
Oh, no, we're definitely for it. A lot of it happens without my knowledge of even knowing, just the way we train our guys. In the city of Flint, you have a very older community out there, and it's very common for if somebody asks us, hey, you know, and we'll take the cans out to the curb. I mean, if it's somebody able-bodied, you know what I mean, that can do it, we would probably still do it, but ultimately for somebody, yeah, absolutely, we would do it.
Okay, thank you. You want to go ahead? Well, let me carry on. Maybe I'm asking the same question. Your proposal to us said 3% for military, 3% for elderly, older 65 seniors. Is that one or the other, or both?
No, I believe your bid had specified one or the other, but we're doing both.
You're doing both?
Yes, we automatically did both.
Okay.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, I think Dan may.
I'll just add to the discount. So it's a 3% for senior 65 age or older, 3% for military, and that can be combined. There's additionally the annual pay. If they pay for the full year, they get the 1 month off, and the 90-day, which for the snowbirds, like, you know, our parents and grandparents or whoever that's lucky enough to go down south, we're honoring that as well.
Okay. And lastly, I didn't read anything in there that said there was a charge for the carts. People will request a cart, they get it for free?
The recycling carts we're offering as a replacement as needed. A lot of the residents here may already have one, so they don't want a second. So we can service any container that they have that's 96 gallons in size or smaller. That could be a bin, a cart with wheels, or a container without. With trash, we didn't provide pricing because we didn't ask for it in the bid, but also we can service any container. So if they choose to buy it from us, that's great. We have them on our website. It's market cost, and they can go on there to buy that, or they can go to Home Depot, Lowe's, and buy an industrial one, or you know, whatever they want. We wanted to make sure that you understood we can service any container a resident puts out.
Okay, for the 96-gallon, the wheeled cart, what would be your price for that? Do you have any idea?
I believe it's $60.
For the 95-gallon for municipalities is 80, for 65 is 70.
$70?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And I have a question. Under contract exceptions, there's a statement in there from you. It says priority waste requests the language to be changed to term of contract. The initial term of this contract shall be a period of 3 years commencing on October 1 through 2022 and ending September 30th, 2025. At a mutual agreement, the township and the contractor, the term of the contract may be extended for additional 3 years commencing on that time and ending. You're actually requesting us just for 3 years, correct?
No, we're not asking for just the 3 years. The change in there is just that we want it to be a mutual agreement to extend it for 3 years, because as much as we can predict the future in 3 years, and I want to say this boldly in front of Todd, we want to be your waste hauler forever. But we do want it to be a conversation of renewal as opposed to you just selecting or not selecting us. So we want it to be a mutual agreement, and that's all that we ask. It's not a requirement, it's just we're asking of that.
Okay, because we are asking for 6 years.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said. I apologize.
No, we're asking for 6 years at the option of the township.
Correct.
Okay. I have no questions other than I did notice that I tried to get like a six-month average, and with your
6-year.
6-year average, sorry. And with the mixed waste, priority, you are low for monthly, it's $31.52, waste management $38.14, and GFL $43.94. And then we go to recycling, and GFL is low at $8.29, waste at $10.21, and priority $15. And almost the same thing for a yard waste. and I'm trying to figure out which way would be the best for the majority of the residents. And it makes it kind of hard, because if we combine all of them, and then I did like a 6-year one, and the GFL is lower by about $5, like with all three. So it's kind of difficult for us to make a decision on which way is the best way to go, because everyone may not use all the services.
Well,
So,
on the other hand, we do have the both discounts being offered by Priority Waste and not GFL. I like that. I also like that you're a privately owned Michigan-based company. I was impressed by the recommendation letters that you provided for us. And you are the lowest bidder in my mind.
did you want me, Councilman, to answer? Did you ask the question of why I came up with it? I apologize. I just want to make sure I'm answering your question. Because
No,
I'm actually the one who did these bids, and there's a reason why I bid it that way. And it stems to last year, when there was people in the audience who said, well, I only do trash. I don't do recycling, and then it kind of got into this a la carte and everything. And please correct me if I'm wrong. It's my understanding that the township is mandating that everyone has to do garbage, correct?
Yes.
Correct. So when I look at pricing it as a whole, it's much different. The a la carte kind of throws a little curve in it. So when I price this, I look at other communities I'm doing the trash for, and that's the price I need to do that trash for to be at the margins that I'm comfortable with. I could have raised the trash up and lowered the recycling and the compost, which is very easy to do, but I felt that that was an unfair tax to the residents who were in the audience last year stating, hey, wait a second, I only want trash. I don't want that other stuff. So I viewed it like, I live here, which I live a couple townships over, but I viewed it as, if I only need trash and I don't recycle, and then I kind of got into a quagmire, well, I don't want to not promote recycling. And then when I looked at it, the fair, balanced way of doing it, the way you asked us to bid it, was to not put an unfair tax on the people who only want trash. And that was what I came up with. That was the decision that I made personally. The trash price that's mandated by the township is the best trash price that I give. It's a very close trash price to what we're doing in other municipalities, and I feel confident with my margins on that trash price. The recycling price is what it costs us for our recycling, for me to make my margins, same with the compost. So that's how I did it.
I mean, I'm not upset with it or anything. I just want.
I'm just being honest.
explanation, that's all. You know, because I know it's difficult, because different people have, like, if they have homes, they might want to, like, all three. Like, if you're in a condo association, you don't need yard waste. So it's difficult to really.
Yeah, and I think, to Councilwoman's, if we were looking at pricing alone and studying it, if you have somebody who chooses two, we are cheaper. If you have somebody who chooses all three by the end of the term of the 6 years, it's really close. It's really close.
Do you have any knowledge of what the take rates are for, say, yard waste and recyclable? Are we talking 10%, 5%, or 50%?
I'm sorry?
What are the take rates? Everybody gets waste.
Correct.
What about somebody who wants waste and yard, or somebody who wants waste and recycles?
So if they only want the two, then we would just add.
No, what I'm asking you is
I don't understand.
just to try to figure out what the take rate is for people who, everybody gets yard, or gets the
Correct.
waste, okay? So how many additional people would take yard waste on top of the mixed waste? 10% of the residents?
Dan, actually.
So in the pre-bid meeting, I asked that question of Stan, and it was unfortunate that we couldn't get a definite answer from the various sources that was gone after for, sought. Nice part about our technology is that it will track that, so if you ever requested it, we can provide it in our CRM. Based on evaluation of your current service, running a little truck in the area when you're being serviced, we assume that there's 60 to 70% participation in the additional two, and it could be a blend of the 2 or 3 service individuals. So of that 60 to 70%, some are only 2 service, some are only 3 service. we did the best that we could. That's kind of the ideology behind the pricing, to make it fair that if you're a two-service individual, over our contract, you're actually going to save about $134 individually without discounts with our program. But yeah, we don't have any take rates. Nothing was provided, so it was a
Okay.
lot of guess.
Okay, thank you.
So I have a question for legal counsel. The statement that Mr. Pollard had read regarding the request to have it a 3-year and then a mutual 3 years for the extension.
That agreement was specifically bid that the bidder would lock into a 3-year contract with the township's option only to rebid it. And the bid specs specifically said that the bidder was to provide 3-year fixed and the 3-year optional period fixed, with the township having the exclusive decision as to whether or not to renew it. That's a material change to the terms, in my opinion. I mean, you can waive irregularities in the bid
What they just
process.
mentioned, it almost sounds like they want to negotiate that thing. Is that something that's not negotiated right now?
Well, no, it shouldn't be, because you have asked, I mean, you set the parameters of what the bids were. And in every bid spec, we have language that says that the township can waive irregularities in the bid process. Those are typically technical, clerical errors, things of that nature. But when you bid out a contract and request bidders to all be playing on a level playing field, and that level playing field requires a 3-year mandatory contract, and give us 3 years with fixed rates that we can make the decision as to whether we're going to renew it, and then during the bid process, the bidder says, well, geez, we want to negotiate a substantial term. I think that is a disservice to the other bidders, because they would have bid this thing differently if they would have known that they had the ability to negotiate it. So,
I'll make it easy for you guys. My apologies, just we don't want it, we'll bid it exactly how it was written, no material changes, we're all in.
Bob, is that something that's acceptable since that was already been presented?
no, if the numbers that they have provided are fixed for the additional 3-year period, and they acknowledge that the township has the exclusive decision as to whether to renew it, then they're all in. That's fine.
Is that a document that needs to be written and approved?
No, the bid specs require it.
Okay.
So
I'm
if
confused
they-
as to whether or not they bid it that way, or whether or not we have it
I don't
that
know
way.
I haven't seen how they bid it, but if they are saying to you now, the 6 years that we bid with the numbers that we bid are fixed, and we agree that the township has the absolute decision on whether to renew it, then that's fine.
We're fine with that,
These numbers
absolutely.
are all correct.
Correct.
The
Okay.
numbers are correct, but
Yes.
they're, I
That
can't remember where
document
was that
there,
clause was written. I can't remember it was towards the end of the booklet.
It was
What was the title there?
contract exceptions.
So they're writing a contract exception, or proposing a contract. I don't know what.
The contract that I drafted that is part of the bid package requires them to provide 3 years optional at the township's sole discretion. So if it got to the point where you were going to award it to priority, the motion would make it crystal clear that the 3 years that they bid will be the optional bid period that the township can exercise its right on, period. And if they're not good with that, then they just DQ themselves.
We're absolutely good with it.
How about if we do award it, the first letter, is that like a welcome letter kind of explaining to the residents the process and the update and the address changes, that kind of stuff? I mean, maybe that's a silly question, but I mean.
No, it's not a silly
I
question.
mean, just
at
more
all.
of a communication type thing, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so this will, in the bid document, I think it's tab 3, there's an education piece of it, and there's a brochure that would go out to every resident. We obviously made some assumptions on the brochure as a sample, but we would work with all who want to be involved to make sure that it covers all details regarding service information, detail of service days, how to sign up, how to pay your bills, so that way it's a kickoff and going. That was purely an example in there. And if there's anything additionally that needs to supplement that later on, we're seeing something, we've done it before, we send a second mailer out and let them know, hey, we're seeing this in your community, or the recyclers, hey, we're seeing this at your house. That way everybody's, again, continually educating themselves for the greater good.
No, because I can just picture all the phone calls with all the questions.
Yes, yeah, we
Just to
want
kinda comment.
to alleviate that for
Yeah,
you.
no, well, that's good. How about, like, I'm impressed with the call center, so like, how about, I mean, that's the biggest frustration. I hear people call and they never get through. I mean, I was kind of impressed with that picture with the new call center. I mean, people can get through pretty easily, or?
So where the tech, yes, so we've switched a lot of stuff over in the last 60 days. I call, and I have a lot of people call daily. We're trying to get to a 3-minute wait time, but we're trying to alleviate it. The next step of this call center and the next part of our technology is the driver will actually be able to see who they're talking to in the rep center. So when a customer calls in, it goes right to that rep center, and it can happen real time. So when you break it up in one person per 10 trucks or one person per 20 trucks, depending on the quality of that person, we're trying to alleviate it and get everything, like the technology, to just take people, like many layers out of it. So even the call center will notice our own. You call it, and then it can be an email, and then there's other tracks. How do we fast track this whole entire operation as far as inside the truck? We all see the outsides, the arms, the new technology and that, but really the core of it is we need to pick the garbage up, and you guys don't need phone calls. And how do we, if we have a problem, how do we alleviate that? And we're continually getting better. Call center time right now is averaging 3 minutes. That's acceptable to me. That's about when my patience runs out. So, and I'm pretty hyper. But I think what you'll see in the future is callers would be patched in right directly to that, what I call the driver liaison, and he or she is looking right at it. So we control it. Like I said, the eye in the sky is watching, and it makes the driver feel like they're a part of a team and not just thrown in a truck and like, good luck. Yeah. So that's what we're working towards. But to answer the question, 3 minutes is our target, and that's where we're at right now.
Thank you.
One of the biggest events that we have here in Washington Township is the recycle event with the waste and the e-recycle. I've never seen your event, how that's run. I've seen what GFL's done. They do a great job with it. Can you run us through that, please?
Yeah, I'm glad that you asked the question. So with, I'm assuming you mean the household hazardous waste, the e-waste, the shredding events, those
Yes.
three. ERG is the current household hazardous waste company that provides it with your current hauler. They would be the same ones that would be providing it with us. So the process would be identical with a few maybe upgrades or changes that we would make in conjunction with them and you. The e-waste would be designed with yourselves very similarly. We use a company out of Pontiac. They bring the trucks to take in the material, cart them back and forth as needed. The shredding would be the same thing, another local company that's going to be doing the shredding. And again, designed as you see fit. Obviously, our first go around will be very hands-on with yourself and others on the board, and any administration. We want to make sure that it goes well, because a resident that doesn't like something will be noisy about it, and we want to keep those noises down. We want to keep smiles going. So, the process should be almost identical to what it is now. It will just change with who's helping the other companies.
Thank you.
Like I noticed with your video, there were no bags being picked up. There were just containers. Now, if, just like my neighbor has like 4 or 5 bags, will you still pick them up, or does he have to have a container?
No, we will pick them up. That video was a community that will also have bags.
Okay.
Yeah, and they'll jump out and put them back in and throw them in. But the trucks in your community would be more the FEL style or Corrado, where it's not a problem. The driver gets out, step load, grab it, no problem.
It just says that you have some restrictions. What are those restrictions?
In the service, or in the bid document, it talks to like hazardous waste. Those are our restrictions. Obviously, anything hazardous, tires, batteries that we don't want going into the trucks that could, cause an ignition. Anything that's too long, with nails protruding outside of construction debris, which is pretty normal and probably in your current contract. And the only reason why we put them in there is just to be clear that there are obvious obstructions that would put our people in danger, as well as the residents in danger, and we want to just keep everybody safe. Yep.
Thank you. I think that's it.
Any more questions?
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time and the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions from the audience? If you can come to the podium, sorry.
Is Waste Management here or no?
I don't see.
They're not here?
Yeah. Well, Waste Management's not here, correct?
Carol Schweiger from Casmeric right over here. Just wanted to know from the company that was just being represented, what is their customer service like? You know, if I am a customer and I have questions about billing, or maybe do you offer like a program where I'm going to be gone on vacation for just a couple of weeks that I can put my service on hold? And I know I've had a lot of issues trying to get hold of GFL with issues. So how does your customer service rate?
So with our customer service, we have two numbers, a local 586 and an 855 number that you can call. We additionally have a website that has an interactive chat option. We'll also have a email address that you can send to us if it's a non-emergency type of question or concern or an ask. But again, what we try to do and be is who we are, and we're all from, I live in St. Clair Shores. I have family and friends that live in Washington Township. We visit this area, and we don't want somebody sitting on hold for longer than 5 minutes because we all have more important things to do with our time. So everything is designed to be more customer facing.
And I'll finish up with that because Dan doesn't know everything we're working on as far as technology. In a subscription-based, like hybrid in this situation, in the website, we're working on creating a side page where the residents could go in and say, hey, I'd be out of town this time. It'll go directly to our drivers' tablets. So when they pull up to that site, that cookie crumb will say you're on vacation, and also it would suspend that portion of the billing if that's eligible. So we're, again, trying to make it easy for you, phone-friendly apps, just boom, 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 get it done and go, because we're all in a hurry.
But the way that you're going with the technology, is there any way that you can put a link on our township website that residents can just go right there, click it, and do it?
Correct. Yes, we would be able to do that. So the next portion of our technology launch is September 5th. So it's been taking some time to build all of this out. It's a lot. So we're thinking hopefully by October 1st that portal and that page would be set up and linked with the drivers. So again, we're taking us out of it. It's a natural thing. It's easy. But the phones will always be answered as well. Some customers don't have the capability of doing that. So we're trying to give everybody the correct option that works for them.
That way, it's like a service ticket at that point there. You know, they put it in there, they get an email back, here's your service ticket number, and somebody contacts them back within a specified period of time.
Correct.
Yeah, another question? Yeah. If you keep going.
Diane Smoisky, 67305 Campground. Question.
Can you pull that mic down a little bit to you, please? Thank you so much.
Okay. You mentioned 3% veterans, 3% seniors, and you combine those two together. Now, do you have pay 1 year in advance and you get one? Can you do all three of them together? Oh, okay.
Thank you. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the contract with GFL. And I'm sorry, GFL, Priority Waste, my bad. Accept the contract with Priority Waste with the contingency of the township has the option for the 3 years, the optional 3 years.
At the rates that
Right.
they have set forth in their bid
Correct.
proposal.
Correct.
I will support that motion.
Okay. We got a motion by Olson, seconded by Dukowski. If no other questions, roll call.
Olson,
Yes?
Tatowski,
Yes.
Kopp,
Yes.
Polad,
Yes?
Reviti.
Yes.
I'm telling you, I was very torn, but after speaking with legal counsel, I'm also going to vote yes to go with priority, since they are going to be completely following what we had requested in our bid package.
Okay, motion passes 6-0. Our new waste hauler will be Priority Waste beginning October 1st. I want to thank GFL. They've been great.
Thank you, Don.
Absolutely, thank
No
you,
hard
Don.
feeling.
Congratulations.
we look forward to the next 3 years and hopefully another 3 with priority. Congratulations. Okay. Next item is the interlocal agreement establishing Washington and Bruce Parks and Rec Commission.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to set this up if I may.
Yes.
Even prior to the current board, Washington Township has been working to understand the operation of both Parks and Rec and STAR and how they impact the residents. Together, both Bruce Township and Washington Township began to define the bylaws of Parks and Recreation Commission and agree on its mission and operation. Due to the difficulty of trying to define the commission's operation by both boards and come to an agreement on a set of bylaws, a decision was made to allow one member each from each board of trustee to attempt to work out a new Parks and Rec agreement. That proposed agreement is before you tonight. Let me introduce Mike Tremblay, Bruce Township trustee, who worked with both myself and our attorney to bring this to hopefully a conclusion. With a positive vote tonight, the document will go to Bruce's board of trustees for their vote. If they agree, then the new bylaws will go into immediate effect. Mike, you want to come on up? For those of you who don't know Mike Tremblay, trustee, Bruce Township. He and I worked together on hammering this thing out. And here's a summary. Yeah, thank you. I get that at home. Here's a summary of what the new agreement will accomplish. Number one, the current organization is not a legally recognized entity. It has not been since its inception in 1986. By agreeing to adopt this new agreement under the Urban Cooperation Act of 1967, joint power, privilege, and authority will be granted to the commission through the approvals of both boards. The new commission will be legally recognized as the Washington and Bruce Parks and Recreation Board. Commission. Operationally, nothing will change under the new agreement. A new 5-member commission will be appointed by the current commission, with 3 members from Washington and 2 from Bruce. These appointments will be reviewed and ratified by each respective board. The commission will be a legal authority able to, if approved by both boards of trustees, buy, sell property, sign documents, sue and be sued, and act as a legal corporation. All collected Parks and Recreation millage funds will be 100% contributed to the commission for Parks and Recreation use. The commission will be organized with a chairperson, vice chairperson, secretary, treasurer, and trustee. All meetings will conform to the Open Meetings Act 267 as amended in 1976. Within 90 days from the date of execution of this agreement, the commission will create a position description for the position of director. Within 1 year from execution of this agreement, the commission and director will agree on an employment agreement. Meeting locations will rotate on an annual basis between Bruce and Washington. If the commission is to be dissolved, the assets will be divided on a 5-year historical average percentage of contributions. I would like to thank Trustee Mike Tremblay for his time and effort spent on this endeavor. We both represented our respective residents, and although not without lengthy discussion, we discussed at length on several issues and ultimately both agreed on the final product. I would also like to thank our attorney, Bob Siebert, who recognized the legal entity issue and also recommended a solution. Now it is in the board hands to approve or deny this agreement. Mr. Tremblay, anything you want to say?
Just a couple things.
Please.
I'd just like to emphasize that this is an agreement that has been long coming. I think we worked collectively, the 2 townships, probably close to 18 months. I think it was a wise decision by both boards to make the team smaller, and I think by picking Gary and I know each other through a fraternal organization. We were able to be very honest with each other up front, so it worked very, very well. So I thank the board for having the knowledge and the wisdom to select Gary and I to do this. And it changes nothing. Parks and Rec will not change because of this agreement. One thing it does do, though, is does establish a legal entity. The other thing I'd like to do is give Bob, our attorney, some kudos. We had a couple of attorneys before that worked on this for a number of months. They both identified issues with the current agreement. None of them had a solution. Bob had a solution, and that's what we're implementing.
Thanks, Mike. Mr. Siebert, any comments?
Just briefly, just to kind of summarize what I put in the letter to both Washington and Bruce Township boards. You know, my task when I accepted the assignment was to review the bylaws and make a determination, legal determination, as to whether or not there were any provisions in the bylaws that Mike and Gary had negotiated that were illegal. And I looked at them and immediately concluded there was nothing in the bylaws that were illegal. We met on 3 separate occasions, and at the first meeting we had, even though my charge was to look at the bylaws only, I have always been concerned with the status of the commission from the 1986 bylaws. I've never seen a satisfactory answer or documentation that ever convinced me that it legally was an entity under Michigan law. And there is this statute from 1967 which essentially says if you're a municipality and you have certain powers, you can meet with another municipality that has the same identical powers and you can agree together to do what you could do separately. You see this a lot of times in authorities where municipalities will get together and share police service or share fire service, or they create a water authority. And this agreement was, this act was perfect for this agreement. And as Gary said, the workings of the Parks and Recreation Commission, if this is approved by Washington and Bruce, will be no different the day before it's signed and the day after it's signed. It will look the same people will work for it, the programs will be the same, the director will be the same. But what it will have now on a go-forward basis that, in my view, it hasn't had, is legal status. You've got a statute that supports it. It'll have its own bank account, its own assets, its own now investment policies. And I think on a go-forward basis, it solves a problem that, in my view, was never solved. So what you see in this document is me wordsmithing their bylaws. I added no substance whatsoever to the bylaws that they prepared. What you see in here about the construction of the commission and who gets to vote, I said I wouldn't do it, and I didn't do it. And all of the substance in the document is theirs. What I've done is create the legal framework for it. And so this is their work product. And if approved by this board, I will also go to Bruce Township next Wednesday, and they will make the same presentation to Bruce. And if both boards agree with it, this interlocal agreement will be executed. And you now have a legal entity on a go-forward basis that I think will do both communities well.
Gary, I got to say, when we had our first Parks and Rec Commission meeting, and I looked at you in the audience and say, are you up for the task? Remember that?
I do.
And I said, it's time to move it off of the boards, to get rid of the political, move Parks and Rec forward, and get an agreement made. And then that's when Mr. Tremblay's name was mentioned. And you guys, I'll tell you, you rose to the task. You did what these communities needed. There was a lot of misinformation out there about the board wanted to break up Parks and Rec. We were going to do this, we were going to do this. There were motions made that were illegal motions. We couldn't vote for them. This is something that I can vote for. So saying that right there, I'll make a motion to accept the interlocal agreement establishing the Washington and Bruce Parks and Rec Commission. Thank you, gentlemen.
I'll second that. Oh, I think someone's whispered something. Is that you, Paula?
That's all right. You can wait.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, any questions from the audience?
Can I vote on this? Sure. Okay. Absolutely. Okay.
Thank you, this looks good. I'm sure it was a lot of work. The only question I have is and it might even not be correct, but is a check signing. It's stating that the chairman, the treasurer, and one commission representative would be signing the checks. Is this the weekly checks that we're talking about?
This is all the checks.
So just looking at it and how it's been working lately, is because the chairman or all of these people might just be residents and might have full-time jobs somewhere and everything, and trying to get this check signed once a week so that we can kind of keep productivity the way it is. We've been doing it, and I think it's been working fairly well, that we're sending out the detailed check description to the commission, and then they actually send back approval of it, and then either Sam, Stan, or Mike Nicely, because they are at this office, it puts us in the going to find the person that signed the check instead of the commission having to do that. So if we could continue that, because it has worked, that would be what my suggestion would be. So, and then the only other thing, I mean, we'll still be Romeo Washington Bruce Parks and Recreation. The commission would be, like, we're not changing all of our logos and everything like that.
The name of the commission will be Washington Bruce Parks and Recreation Commission.
So that means, I mean, I really do think that the Romeo Washington Bruce Parks and Recreation logo, department, it's our image. So I would like to be able to keep that that would be my suggestion also. But besides that, everything else looked good. And that's all I have.
We're going to have a little bit of pain with growth, but I think we're going to have some opportunity too.
I missed that. What was that?
Said we may have a little pain with growth, but we're going to have some opportunity too.
And this is going to give you your defined duties and responsibilities that you were asking about at the last commission meeting. I think this makes Parks and Rec a stronger institution.
Agreed. I just still do not understand. I mean, I guess that would be, it's silly, maybe it's a name, but if I came to you and said, oh, let's change your name to whatever.
It was an opportunity to take a look at this thing and really decide what we wanted to do in the future, because this is a major tear-up and it's a major change. So in order to signify that as a major change, we took a look at this, Mike and I, and we decided, should we leave the name exactly the same or should we change it? And the conclusion we came to is, let's change it to show that we're moving forward. This is now a legal entity and we're changing the name to accommodate that.
I don't know that I'll ever be in agreement with that thought process. I mean, we are Parks and Recreation and we're going to work no matter what because we're here for the residents, but I don't see the sticking point on changing a name that has been around for 40 years. Again, I know
Point
my
made.
opinion, but.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor and trustees. My name's Dave J. 8303 Washall Drive, Washington Township. I met back with Clara Russell back on Monday, June 25th, 2018, with some concerns about how there's $2.2 million in unsecured and uncollateralized deposits. Unsecured and uncollateralized. That means that if the bank would fail, or if the funds were stolen or robbed, there was no insurance. The FDIC, Federal Deposit Insurance Commission, says a maximum of $250,000 for an account to be insured. And all you need to do is open up a few extra accounts. Instead, Ms. Russell has got two different banks, Chase Bank and PNC Bank, with uninsured and no interest at all, and is paying $3,500 for that privilege for the bank to hang on to $2.2 million. So on the agreement, I'm hoping that you would take a look or consider on page 7, under section D for treasurer, paragraph number 2, All deposits of the commission fund shall be placed in an FDIC-insured bank account, because the bank itself has some backing and regulations by the federal government, but the accounts is what the key part is, for the fiduciary responsibility, for the security of the taxpayer dollars. So I would hope you would consider that. And there's some other programmatic items too, like, for instance, I talked to Claire Russell, my wife and I were bicycling around, and I asked, I said, are we still sending Parks and Rec buses down to Detroit casinos? And she said, yes. And I don't believe that our taxpayer dollars and taxpayer program should be subsidizing trips to Detroit casinos. Some people have a problem with gambling, and even if they don't have a problem with gambling, they shouldn't be using taxpayer dollars. But Claire did assure me that the Parks and Rec is not paying for a clairvoyant, a soothsayer anymore. I also have concerns that the Parks and Rec Department was paying rent for the Romeo High School, now middle school, pool while the pool was under repair. We've had to pay 3 new tax increases to Romeo schools. And I think Romeo schools should have to be responsible out of their budget, out of their personnel, out of the continuity with their coaches, pay for the summer programs, for the baseball and the basketball and the other programs. And I do want to salute Mr. Tatosky, because he agreed to meet with me, and there's a big spreadsheet of programs like shelters and seating and picnic areas, and for more of an enhancement in Washington Township, but even for Bruce Township. He said that he was hoping to get a disc golf in the Bruce Township area, just north of the Bruce Township Hall. So since Washington pays 75%, we should get 75% approximately of the services here. And finally, I don't think that the township should be in the recreational business. We have small gyms that have to pay property tax, they have to pay Michigan income tax, they have to pay federal income tax, and the township does, and they have to pay sales tax. The township doesn't pay any of those taxes, and a document that I saw of was as recently as a few years ago that these gyms that the township are running is at a $43,000 deficit each year. So I'm looking forward to the possibility of cooperation and putting our efforts into a program, as well as securing the funds in the future. I salute Gary Kopp and Dan Tatosky for your fine work, and looking forward to a new day, new Parks and Recreation Commission. Thank you.
Thank you.
No other questions? Okay, so we have a motion by Tatosky, seconded by Babinski.
Correct.
Roll call.
Tatowski.
Yes.
Babinski is a yes. Kopp.
Yes.
Polad.
Yes?
Reviti.
Yes.
And Olson.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. Goes on to Bruce Township.
Good job. Thank you.
Next is 9.3 Mound and Jewel Road.
Thank you, Mr. Tremblay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Taylor.
Thanks, Mike.
I have Taylor from Spalding Decker here to explain.
The sections of pathway that we're discussing are Jewel Road south of 29 Mile Road, and Mound Road south of West Road, and Mound Road north of 28 Mile Road. The township accepted bids on June 16th. Bids were publicly read and opened and reviewed. The low bidder is Merlot Construction, which Spalding Decker has had a successful history with, and so has Washington Township. That is the contractor that completed the West Road sidewalk a couple of years ago. So we recommend award to the low bidder of Merlot Construction for that concrete sidewalk. Additionally, in your packet is Spalding Decker's proposal letter for construction engineering services for the same project.
I'll make a motion to accept Merlot Construction as the low bidder of $952,581 for the construction of the Mound Jewel Road pathways.
And we also have to add the Spalding
Oh,
Decker.
I'm sorry. Yep. Go ahead and add that.
Okay, and also, we need to also add the Spalding Decker fee of $107,365.
That is my motion.
Seconded it.
Okay.
Someone seconded it.
He said Polad did.
Oh, Paul. Any questions from the audience?
I have a,
Oh, yeah, sorry, Gary.
I have a question. We're talking sidewalks and not pathways. I'm assuming these will be concrete and not asphalt?
They were originally proposed as asphalt, and the asphalt bidding process this summer has been pretty tough, and so these will go in as concrete.
Concrete.
That is the award being made.
Which will actually be less maintenance.
Actually, cheap, yeah, well,
Yeah.
I think they were a lower cost too, were they not, even at concrete?
Yeah, right now they
Yeah,
are.
it's odd.
It'll just be nice to
Perfect.
see them.
So, roll call?
Kaminsky is yes, Pollard,
Yes?
Olson,
Yes.
Datowski,
Yes.
Praviti,
Yes.
and Cobb.
Yes.
Pass. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is the proposed change order for our 32-mile and Powell Road water main. We have Maria Setke from Fishbeck here.
Good evening. In front of you is the change order request. As you remember, this is for the water main, water extension for 32-mile and Powell Roads. This project was awarded to Telto June 15th, 2022. They were the low bidder. The original scope was to install 16-inch PVC water main. However, since then, the township on a separate project has had issues with some PVC water main. You've had some water main breaks. There's investigations ongoing, and the cause of the water main breaks is still undetermined. So as a result, I think the Water and Sewer Committee got together and decided, until the cause is determined, to switch this from PVC to ductile iron. So we're going to be going with 16-inch ductile iron, class 54-inch water main. So this is the change order from Telto with the difference to convert from PVC to ductile iron pipe. And it's in the amount of $273,727, making the contract $2,429,889. Any questions?
Just one question.
Sure.
What's going to happen with the investigation?
It's not our project, so I don't know, but I think that's on a
Yeah, Mike
separate
Cole can
project.
take it on that part of it.
Currently, the contractor who installed that pipe is in discussions with the supplier that supplied that pipe to determine what or who was at fault and a reasonable solution to the township. So don't have anything specific to report yet, but they are talking daily to find a solution.
So if we find out someone, let's say it was installed improperly, what's going to happen then?
I think the DPW department, that's redundant, the DPW will just, evaluate whether or not they are comfortable with that installation of that material going forward. It solely was switched for cost purposes, just based on the fact that you're installing miles and miles of 16-inch water main. That PVC pipe there's hundreds of thousands of miles throughout this country. Here comes Rich. So, we really want to get to the bottom of what exactly happened there before we make any major changes. But I think what Maria has presented to you today is kind of let's make sure we're comfortable. This is no different than the material you have all over the place. We'll figure out what happened on the other project soon.
And there's really no connection between the failures and what we're proposing to do now. This is really just a mind shift from the
Yes.
material to ductile, right?
Yes.
And this price run now, you said $2,400,000. I didn't get the right number because it looks like there's a
It's
little
in the package.
$129,889.
Okay, what you just said.
But the change order amount is only $22,800.
Yeah. that's
No, the change order amount is $273.
So the surcharge, so that's the surcharge that could be
That's,
imposed.
so
Gotcha.
$250,927 is his price, but because he hasn't yet purchased the pipes, he's worried, prices are changing daily, so as everybody knows, so there's a
Hurry up.
$22,800 surcharge that may or may not be.
Okay, and my question or comment is, this still puts us underneath what the original estimate was?
That is
correct?
lower than our engineer's estimate,
Even with
yes.
the increase in price?
Even with the increase, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the audience on this? Any other questions from the board?
I want to ask, so Rich and Maria and Mike, you guys all, do you recommend changing this over to ductile iron? Yeah?
Yes.
I'd feel a lot better changing it, you know,
Yeah.
just for the people that work with me.
Yeah.
And I'll make the motion to approve for the new amount of $273,727.
Bring the total to $2,429,889.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Heard that come out, it's just quiet.
I'll
And I will
second it.
support.
Cop beat you.
He did?
Yep, did.
He said it lower. Okay, motion by Praviti, seconded by Cop. No other questions? Roll call.
Praviti?
Yes.
Cop?
Yes.
Polad?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Natowski?
Yes.
And Babinski's a yes.
Okay, motion passed. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you.
Good night. Okay, next item is 9.5 limestone quotes for West Road west of Mound. We presented this, maybe now it's been almost 2 months ago or 6 weeks ago. The residents on West Road, west of Mound, they would like to look into pavement, but the pricing obviously is very high, so we were looking to help them out with limestone, but I'll let Rich carry on, but we did get quotes for limestone, but as you can tell, the limestone's very costly as well. So I'll let you.
It took,
Yeah.
I think he asked me 3 months ago for the department to try to do this. And, just so everyone knows, we do get a good deal from the county after I looked at all this. Okay? Those are the bids. I even had one person back out of it. I think it was the highest on there. He says, I'm not gonna, they're too busy. I talked to the road, Department of Roads, and they'd work with us. It's just, I don't know, that's the only thing I've done with it. I haven't done anything with the residents, so I don't know what. I just wanted to bring you back to quotes so you can see how much it is, if you want to go forward with it, if you want to ask them,
These are the same folks that were requesting us to take a look at an SAD for paving the road, correct?
Correct.
Would there be any interest with them helping to fund some of this?
I'm not sure.
Oh,
I mean, we can
okay.
ask them, but I just wanted to get you guys the prices, because if
Okay.
you remember, I said it was going to be a lot lower. Holy crap. I mean, it was,
Yeah, we were looking at $20,000 or
Yeah.
something, now we're looking
Oh,
at
yeah.
about $120,000.
so they do give us a good deal.
For sure.
Today's prices, the county.
Yep.
So some people, they quoted the material, the limestone, the 21AA, and did not quote the installation. Installation would be separate. Now, I don't see on here, didn't we have an option for the county to provide limestone on an area for a cost? Is that not a possibility?
They
won't do.
They wouldn't let us do anything.
They would not let us do anything, even if we paid.
Right.
Thank you.
Rich, I have a question on the amounts of materials. How is that, or Mr. Kozak, if you can address that as well? They seem to be all over the board.
My assumption is, and I don't know what they were provided, obviously the Messina numbers are different just based on the thickness of what they assumed with the same area. My guess is they each went in and did a different takeoff of exactly what the area would be from an aerial drawing. You could back these prices out based on the tonnage and figure out a per ton price, and you would only pay for what they actually install, and I assume they would honor that.
Some of the companies can't even get in there with their equipment, so that's why you only see material only. They got to have the right, if you see Proline on there, they're actually a asphalt company that can do that, okay? So then we have to go by, are we going to knock trees down? Are we, having a guy that doesn't have the exact equipment? I just wanted to give you all the facts, from all the estimates there.
I'd like to kind of table this, maybe meet with those couple representatives from that street and see what their heads are before we move forward. It's a lot more money than we thought.
I have a question for our assessor.
Yeah.
How many people would be on this?
I ran it up once. I think there was like 11 actual people. There's 2 people on corners that already paid for part of Lockwood, which wouldn't be fair to keep them in there. And you have two side streets that are gonna get a benefit. Sorry. But it's not a lot of people. Go again, whole thing?
Sure. You get 20 minutes of fame now.
Nobody watches these meetings, Stanley, it'll be all right. The thing is, with West Road, from Mound Road to where it stops where the park took the property there, there's only like 11 actual residents on the home. They're big parcels. You're going to have probably 5 or 6 more on the 2 other roads that'll have a fraction of the cost. The roads that are already paid for Lockwood, when they got paved back in 1990, I believe it was, 99 maybe, they already paid their benefit because they paid for their abutting frontage and did theirs. If you did a SAD, they would be like opted out because they already paid their part. So they wouldn't be even put in. And I do have it worked up from like a year or so ago when they came in, but I didn't bring it with me. So but I mean, you know, it's a lot of money for maybe 20 houses.
And that is a county road, correct, Patty?
They are county roads, yes.
And that's with no drainage.
Pardon?
Okay.
That's with no drainage improvements.
Yeah.
I'm in agreement with Supervisor Robriti and tabling this to another meeting once we have further discussion with the residents in that area. So I'll make that motion to table this.
Support.
Any questions from the audience? Otherwise, motion by Babinski. Oh, yes, sir.
Does this road already get paved by the county? I mean, are they graded?
All
They're
roads
supposed to.
get graded
Yeah,
by the
they're-
county.
The only ones that, well, yeah, those are there private roads, Patty? On the side, or are those?
Yes. Timothy and Serenas are both private roads.
Okay.
But
So
they'd
those
still
wouldn't-
get a benefit from the West Road paving
Yeah.
or limestoning.
But that's only in front of their streets, kind of like we used to get a benefit, you know, when they used to do 30-mile
But
road.
they'll get a benefit because they can't get out of their street if they don't drive on that.
Right.
They wouldn't be able to get anywhere if they didn't drive on the piece that's done. So they will get a small benefit, but it won't be as much as everybody else.
Was there a second?
Yes, Tatowski.
We got a motion by Babinski, seconded by Dukowski to table this. Roll call?
Babinski is a yes. Tatowski?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Reviti?
Yes.
Polad?
Yes.
And Cop?
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. On to new business. 10.1, amendment of land development and utility ordinance. I guess, maybe my Kozak question, or no? Goes from
Yeah,
bond.
I wasn't with you last month, but this was the language that the board approved to be put into ordinance format, which I believe Mr. Siebert has done and can comment on that.
Oh, yeah.
I have. I've taken the language that the board approved that Mike sent over to me. Because this is a regulatory ordinance, you have to adopt it initially once, and then you have to come back and publish it second time. So if you're inclined to approve this, the motion would be to approve the amendment to the land development and utility ordinance for first publication.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support that motion.
Motion by Poland, second by Dukowski. Any questions from the audience or board? Otherwise, roll call?
Can I, just, sorry, real quick, just as a reminder for the public, if they weren't attending last month's meeting like me, these were just very minor changes to the stormwater detention standards required by your MS4 permit with the state of Michigan. So just very minor changes.
Roll call.
Polad?
Yes.
Tatowski?
Yes.
Cop?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Babinski is a yes. Reviti?
Yes. Motion passed. Next, we're combining 10.2 and 10.6, the zoning ordinance text amendment and non-motorized facilities ordinance revision.
Yeah, do you want to do it from here, or do you want to go up there? Is it better if we stand up there for you guys?
Yeah, speak into the mic, as you've heard.
Go ahead, Dana. You want to start?
I can start. So the Planning Commission on June 9th recommended approval for the ordinance text amendments, which would be addressing pathway, sidewalks, and walkways. So I included the amendment language, and there were a couple revisions that Bob had made based on the Planning Commission and discussion. It also included the map, which would include excluded roads, optional roads, and required roads. So this is in front of you today for hopefully approval, and if you have any questions
There's
on
copies
the
of these
specific. Yeah.
at the table if anybody wants. Okay.
And this is just a reminder, dates back to almost a year ago now. I think we were in the cable studio in August of last year.
Yeah.
And we were all tasked with trying to come up with a workable revision to the zoning ordinance, and you'll see other minor changes to the land development utility ordinance that would help to combat some of the persistent complaints and issues associated with installing these pathways on the major roads where development maybe didn't make sense, or other barriers prohibited it, or just basically, I'm the only pathway for a mile, why are you making me put it in kind of discussions. And I think one of the things that came out of that discussion also was the issue of natural beauty roads, which are noted very clearly on the map that Supervisor held up. And essentially, those are all in the excluded road category. Essentially, we cannot remove trees to build those pathways, so trying to install the pathways at the future right-of-way line becomes incredibly impossible with, and not removing trees. So that map tries to take into account all those various factors, and the intent, and it was explained to the Planning Commission as well, is that at regular intervals, we'll look at that map as development continues, and it can be modified as the east side of the township maybe eventually opens up for development. It might make more sense that those go from optional to required. This is not a set in stone forever going to be like this kind of map.
It's a living document.
It's going to change with time, with development. But I can tell you that, we've been sitting at that table for 13 years, and if we had that same map 13 years ago, it really wouldn't have changed drastically even in that amount of time, because the development has been so concentrated in the same areas. So I think the biggest change would be maybe up over at 30 and Powell, where there has been kind of a concentration of effort lately to get that area developed. But other than that, it's been pretty steady for over a decade.
So if we adopt this with the beauty roads, we have an agenda item today.
Right. So
It would make it-
procedurally, I think that variance would be kind of moot at that point, because you would have approved. I don't know if that, it's not fully approved tonight, I guess, but.
Does that have to be published first, though, right?
Yeah, if the board approves the zoning ordinance amendment, you have to publish a notice of adoption, and then it's got to be published,
Right.
it'll take effect after that. Yep.
Yeah, 7 days after that.
Yep.
So we'd have to still address the other issue coming up, because
Well, but it's practical.
mute, but yes.
Yeah, you can spend a lot of time talking about it, but there's going to be an ordinance that's going to be in effect in 21 days, and
Yeah,
what's the point?
Yep.
right.
And I did notice that in the conversation with the PC, one of the things they talked about was e-bikes, and they kind of shied away from that. Being on the Macomb Orchard Trail Commission, the state of Michigan views e-bikes as non-motorized vehicles. So just to let everybody know that if you see an e-bike on a sidewalk, that's not motorized, and that's why they're allowed on the Macomb Orchard Trail Commission. Ones with motors would be like golf carts, motorcycles, stuff like that.
Could you define an e-bike, just for people that might not know what that is?
So an e-bike, there's 4 different classifications: Class 1, Class 2, Class 3, Class 4. Class 1, each one will Class 1, you basically only use the E part of it when you're not pedaling, okay? Class 2 goes a little bit faster, and you can pretty much use that a lot of the time without pedaling. Class 3 goes a lot faster. That goes like 28 miles per hour. And Class 3 and Class 4 are not allowed on the trail. So it's the lower Class 1 and Class 2 where they're the lower speed, and they're the propelling of the bicycle, the e-bike, a lot of it is manual, with the E kicking in as it needs to.
I've got a comment, Mike. Take a look at the verbiage under pathways, number 1, letter F. It says ADA barrier-free access ramps are required at all road crossings. If you flip over to the next page, under 2E, it says ADA barrier-free access ramps are required at all crossings. So this means I have to put an ADA barrier every time I cross a sidewalk or a driveway, or somehow the word road got deleted out of that.
Yeah, we need to put road back in there. The county does not require, if you're crossing a driveway, even if it's a commercial driveway, they don't require that ADA detectable warnings and/or, obviously a ramp would be there so that the grade is consistent all the way through, or the sidewalk actually usually just carries through. But, excuse me, but the actual detectable warnings are not required. So if that's a note, we should just get that added to put road back in. That is correct. I don't know. Gary, can you say where that is again?
It's under 2, under sidewalks, 2E. Just add the word road after are required at all road crossings. So add the word road after all.
What page?
Can you just?
It doesn't have a page number on it.
Oh, you're skipping ahead. You're looking at my portion. So-
Yes.
Sorry,
Yeah.
okay, so I'll take a step back and try and, that's why we kind of group these items together. So the zoning ordinance is before you tonight for publishing. We're done with it, we hope, and this is the final deal, right? Because of the way sidewalks and pathways and non-motorized facilities and walkways show up in 4 different spots across your ordinances. 2 spots in the land development utility ordinance, 1 spot in the standalone sidewalk ordinance, and in the zoning ordinance. So tonight, we're fixing the zoning ordinance, and then what I've provided in the packet are the draft changes to the portions that are in the land development and utility ordinance. The intent there is that the actual piece in the land development and utility ordinance will deal with establishment of the non-motorized facilities fund that money can be paid into. That's kind of it. That's all that does now. Then in the engineering standards, which are an appendix to that ordinance, that will cover the design, right? So it has to have a certain cross slope. It's got to be a certain width. There's very general terms about materials there. And then finally, the sidewalk ordinance we are going to modify, and there's not a draft before you today because we're actually creating a standard detail sheet that's going to have cross-sections that are drawn, and a sheet will be attached to construction plans that either we build or private developers build. And we're going to take out a lot of that specific designs of, okay, it's got to be this thick, it's this material, it's compacted to this, you're doing this to the base. All of those technical things we're going to keep on a detail sheet so that if we tweak them over time, we don't have to go through this long process again. And then there's just a couple regulatory issues in that sidewalk ordinance that relate to a defective sidewalk notice. The actual text for that is in the sidewalk ordinance right now. The criteria by which a sidewalk is deemed needed to be fixed, it's got this much of a heave to it or the crack is this wide. That's all in there. We're going to keep that in there and make sure it's all clarified. So Bob and Rich and I are going to work on that last piece over the next month or so. We put these other 2 portions in here so that you could at least review them, say yay or nay to let's move those forward with the process, just to let you know that we aren't leaving a bunch of T's uncrossed because we fixed the zoning ordinance. So we've been kind of talking holistically this whole time.
And the one thing moving forward is that the board won't be seeing these requests. So any request for variance will go to the Zoning Board of Appeals. So that's the one change, and that's why everything's being set up the way it is.
So good luck.
You want to keep us busy, eh?
Uh-huh.
Now you have a very good tool, that map, to say, this has been really thought out.
you really got to convince us why you should not
Exactly.
be putting this in or contributing, right? We've given such a big option now to say, we know you don't want to maintain it, write a check, we'll put a sidewalk in somewhere else, we're not going to bother you again.
Will the revised map show, so like on the primary roads and that, my assumption is that sidewalks will be on both sides.
Yeah.
On some of the other roads, maybe on one side or the other. Has that been predetermined, or will that go, or will that be determined as we go?
So the map that you have there in front of you, there are a couple locations where it's required on one side of the street and optional on the other. For the most part, with very few exceptions, it's the same on both. The only place I can really think of where we only have it on one side is like inside of a development like Seven Lakes or something, which was approved as a part of that development. So there's language in it that also indicates that if your site plan doesn't have sidewalks on it, right, you're an old subdivision from 40 years ago, and you tear down a house, it burns down, it gets hit by a tornado, whatever, you don't have to put a sidewalk in when you rebuild your house. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So that map deals just with main roads, section line roads, we say. The interior stuff is covered by language that's in there, and obviously individual site plans.
Thank you.
Yeah, 'cause it looks like the only section where you have that split that Mike referred to is on Shaner from 27 to 29. So you have on the west side is required, on the east side is optional.
Right, right.
Do we have any, I realize this is a living document, and it's been discussed, and it'll probably get discussed the next couple of decades. But if, like Hayes goes through, we talked about taking that through to the 30-mile road. Will it then be looked at, or are you looking ahead on that if that happens?
Yeah, this, I mean, I don't, we can kind of hash this out with the planning commission. This definitely seems like something that as a part of your master plan updates that you're doing every 5 years anyway. You take a look at this plan and go, does it still make sense, right? Is there a new road that we didn't think of? Is Hayes being extended through? Is, you know, a bigger development happening somewhere? Whatever is causing that. Do we adjust it? And that's
We may never see it in our lifetime, but one day we may.
Got to be flexible.
One day somebody might, or, you know, whoever.
Somebody's going to.
Yeah, I think this is great what the planning commission put together. I know we've got it. To vote on this, do we do each item separately?
No. The one that you're going to vote on to adopt for the zoning ordinance amendment is going to be to 10.6. You're going to presumably, if there's a motion to approve it, will be to approve the zoning ordinance amendment as prepared by me and just discussed, and then it will be published. A notice of adoption will be published, and then within 15 days, and once it's published, it becomes effective 7 days thereafter. You're done. The other ones that Mike was referring to in 10.2, we will save for another day. Rich and Mike and Dan are going to have to get for me the actual text amendments and the sections that are being changed.
Okay.
They will get me all of those, and then I'll put them in ordinance draft form.
Yeah, you know, in the meantime, like I said, we'll probably be back next month because I never want to stop talking about sidewalks. And we'll talk about the sidewalk ordinance, but, you know, like Gary, that's a good catch on that one. We'll make sure that gets changed. It's in there for your information. Read through, just make sure you see kind of what we're planning to do, and we can discuss it at a later meeting. It's not a big deal.
I'm sure there's people, any questions from the audience on this?
Will we be able to see the text of these modified documents? I'll go through the last planning commission meeting.
Sir, can you come up to the microphone so that we're going to hear you? Thank you.
Roger Sachs, 66243 Campground Road. The question is, will the public be able to get to see the text of these same documents that you'll be reviewing?
Yeah, no, definitely.
Okay, and what will be the process to distribute that? Will it be online?
It's actually
or-
on the website right now.
Is
It's
it?
in the
Okay.
board packet.
Yeah, if you look at our current board packets,
thank you.
you can have a copy, yeah.
That was easy.
But it'll be at the whenever next meeting we present that, we'll vote on it officially, but
Okay.
it'll be in there again.
Okay, so just so the interested parties are all clear, as Mr. Siebert advised, item 10.2 will be put on hold, so to speak, waiting for...
10.2 is what you should be approving.
Yes.
That's the zoning text.
Okay, so if we approve it, Okay, so now that's, the text is in here now, so I have a copy, but they don't.
Well,
But they don't have the website tonight. So.
I can give them my copy.
Okay.
Or they can stop in the township
We'll
hall and pick
collaborate.
one up.
It's the same thing that the planning commission.
Yeah, we haven't changed anything from the planning.
The other two
Okay.
are just drafts.
Well, if you recall, the last planning commission, we all got a surprise, including council, with some captions that were added in there, and the author remained unknown, that not only confuses us, but council as well. So that's why I brought it up. Those were stricken after discussion.
Never
So
confused.
I just want to make sure there's no more
Everyone's confused
surprises.
No, the plan, as we reviewed it, there were two items in there that I was uncomfortable with, and I specifically raised them to the planning commission. Planning commission agreed. We went through it literally line by line. We made three very minor changes, very minor changes. Those minor changes were incorporated in the zoning ordinance amendment that you have before you. I've sent it to Dana for review. It is, I assure you, it is a carbon copy with the three changes that the planning commission authorized from what the planning commission approved. There are no
Excellent.
other additions.
That's what we wanted to hear. Thank you.
No.
You want my copy?
No other questions from the other? If there's nothing else, then I'll make the motion to approve 10.2 zoning ordinance text amendment. Is that correct? Yeah.
I'll support.
Supported by Olson. No other questions, roll call?
Providi,
Yes.
Olson,
Yes.
Yes.
Babinski's a yes, Polad,
Yes.
and Cop.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. So.
Thank you.
Thank you. So you'll publish that now in the paper?
In red. Publish it.
In red. Next is, as we said, it's probably a moot point at this point, but 10.3 sidewalk variance request for 66773 campground. Yeah, Andrew.
Basically, on this, can't we just give this guy his
Yeah, okay, hold
occupancy?
on, hold on.
So we can just do that.
Just
I
give-
think it's a moot point,
It
but
is.
here's a.
I wanted to give him a
an
chance to
issue.
talk.
So here's an issue, if I could just put in context. My certificate of occupancy is getting holed up because of this whole issue. As a result of that, the bank is not paying the builder, and the builder is threatening liens. So what I want to get resolved is, does what you just voted on, I think, eliminates the need for a sidewalk in front of my house.
Correct.
Right? So as a result, we should be able to remove any restrictions on my certificate of occupancy. All the inspections have passed. This is the only thing that's holding it up. So how do I make that
Yeah,
happen
no, so
without getting
We'll do that
stuck
right
in-
now.
Yeah, no, so I wanted to ask the board for approval to issue your full certificate of occupancy through the building department tomorrow.
Okay, all right. So that's all I want.
You have a very
I
nice
don't want to
looking
argue
house,
about sidewalks right now.
Thank you.
You have a nice-looking house through. I would like to make a motion to,
I thought
how do we say this? Give us-
I just, no, I.
Just did, though,
Yeah, yeah.
second. I'll second.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay, so.
Can you
did write
repeat it?
down? Okay, the motion is to authorize or approve tomorrow the full occupancy,
So the request for the sidewalk variance and new construction.
certificate of
on
occupancy for tomorrow.
66773 campground. Right here.
Got it.
and I'll authorize. Huh? Yeah, correct, yeah. So you can pick it up tomorrow anytime after 8 o'clock? Great. If that's good. Well, I'm sorry, roll call.
My builder will be happy.
Okay, roll call.
Providi,
Yes.
Olson,
Yes.
Cop,
Yes.
Polad,
Yes.
Babinski's a yes, Tatowski.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. Thanks for sitting through that.
Let me thumb.
What time is the pig roast next week?
Okay, next item is 10.4, request to approve tree removal and trimmings at 8100 Wicker Street, our WBRW station. I know Stan's been getting quotes. We've had a lot of trees there on the side of the building that's causing a lot of problems between the roof and drainage, and we even had
requires
electrical
maintenance out
problems and
there.
stuff, a lot of maintenance, and anyway, you can finish.
So basically, Sam said everything he had to say, so We went out and got quotes. Want to get these
Do
trees.
you have a recommendation?
My recommendation. Matt, what did we recommend?
We tried getting DTE to cut them down, but they said
Yep.
it wasn't their
They didn't. We
tree.
had
We
one
couldn't get
person.
Matt a chainsaw and pruning
That would be
saw?
cheap.
and
We'll
some
take it down
loppers?
ourselves, yeah, save a lot of money.
Sledgehammers.
We did have one tree company also say that he wouldn't even touch it because of the fact of the wires and everything else, so he would not even submit a bid. He thought that should be DTE's problem.
Yeah, we ended up having 4 companies come out, and the first one said they didn't want to deal with it because it was old wiring and they didn't want to work near that. So the last one that came out, I don't have it in front of me, Stan, I'm sorry.
JP's Tree Service.
The cheap one, the one that gave 2, they gave 2 quotes. They all did. The first guy that came out said he thought he should quote us for both trimming and for cutting down the trees that we talked about. So then I had the other 2 companies just do the same thing. And the last guy that came out, I think they're out of Pontiac. His price, I think, as you can see, for both trimming and cutting everything down was quite a bit lower than the other 2. The only thing I know about them is what they told me, which is basically they've got a pretty big crew. They have 3 crews. They've got about 50 people. They work all over Oakland, Wayne, and Macomb. And he said he could get it scheduled within a couple days of going through the process with the township for insurance and all that sort of thing.
So you're recommending?
We'd recommend JP Tree Service. Yep.
Then the question is, do we just trim up or do we cut those trees down?
In my experience is they grow back.
Yeah, you have to do it every few years, I think is what he recommended, was every 2.
Unless we get rid of the stumps, right? Get rid of the brush
Right,
back
yeah,
there.
that's going to happen too.
Does that one include the stump removal? Or?
No, he did not on that, Matt. He does not include stump grinding on there.
He said some things about, well, I'll clean it up, you'll never know, blah, 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 but then as you see, it's not on there, so,
Get the wood carvers out there to
make some animals out of them.
That's right.
I would love to see what they.
If there's 4, you can make WBRW.
They could do eagles and palm trees.
I'm confused because you said some of the companies wouldn't come out and cut the trees because of the wires, and yet DTE says they won't come out and do anything.
Correct.
And even though the trees are impacting their wires.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we've had electrical issues out there, as we know.
Yeah.
One board meeting, we had to get out of there.
We had to run out.
So.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we've had the wire come down multiple
The
times.
biggest
Because of
concern
those
was their
trees.
older wires, is what the tree trimmer was saying. He says they didn't want to get anywhere close to those things.
They said because it was on private property, they couldn't touch them. I don't know if that's true, which I don't believe so. But
I don't know, can we just put a swimming pool there and then they have to move the lines?
I like that, that's a good idea.
There you go.
That actually works.
Oh, that's smart.
Is this cost coming out of the cable franchise fee account?
Yes.
All right.
I would think so.
yeah, it's part of their maintenance.
So what's the recommendation, to trim or cut them down?
My recommendation would be to totally cut them down. I don't think trimming is going to do us any service in the long term. We're going to be back there every year, every 2 years, re-trimming the trees. Just like DTE does now when they cut the hole in the middle of all the lines and then they come back and have to cut them again because they shot out new branch growths.
And that's the quote for 6,500, right?
Yes, but again,
Versus the
there is
1,800 on the trimming.
there is some stump removal that has to be done. I'm just trying to look at another one to see if we could put a contingency on there.
Yeah, and I think that the 6,500 quote includes trimming one of the trees on the neighbor's property. And I think Stan can speak to this better than I can, but I think probably getting the neighbor to sign something is going to be a good idea. Some of the trees are right on the property line, and I know based on just conversations we've had with him, he doesn't mind. He's willing to do that. I think he understands that this is coming, so I don't think it's going to be an issue, but it's, again, probably.
All right.
The stumps, 425.
Yeah, so I'm going to make a motion to have JP Tree Service do the removal of the 6 trees at a total of $6,500 and put a contingency of an additional $500 for stump removal.
Support.
And if they are unable to perform that, then they will not be awarded the contract.
I will support that amended.
Okay, motion by Babinski, seconded by Bukowski. Any questions from anyone? Audience, board? Roll call.
Babinski is a yes. Tatowski?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Providi?
Yes.
Polad?
Yes.
And Cop.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, motion passed. Next item is WBRW again, request to purchase a video production equipment. These are items budgeted for the current fiscal year.
Yep, so when we went through the budget process, we had a list of equipment that they knew were going to be needing or replaced to keep things at the high standards that we have. So before you have all the pricing and bids that were provided, and I will turn it over to Phyllis.
Well, just, I have a brief report I'd like to read.
I have one question
3 minutes.
first.
Okay.
Why only one bid? You know, other boards were asking for 3 bids. Why only one bid?
So Paul priced this equipment out over the course of the last year. We've purchased most of our equipment, not most, but a lot of our equipment through B&H. And that's usually who has the best price when we, again, go through this process. We've got, I think, this invoice is for with the governmental rate. Yeah, these are the same folks we bought the last 2 kits from a couple years ago. The last time I think it was 19 when we
I
came.
guess the question is being made, Matt, is are there other companies that supply this exact equipment, or is this something that's difficult to get? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could probably get it elsewhere, but I don't know that we could get it all from another vendor, and I don't know that the pricing is going to be nearly as good.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Again, list was worked out over the course of the last year. I think we had an original thing put
And
together.
that's fine with the list and that, but we should be procuring 3 bids.
Is it pretty much in line with the budget, or?
Yeah,
I didn't check it, sorry.
Yep, I think it's at.
Actually under what we-
It's under budget?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
no.
under what we,
Oh, that's good.
Again, I understand what you're saying, Dan, and because this is sort of like a niche business, I don't know what the availability is here. I would be okay with accepting this as a single bid proposal.
Well, I would think in the future, we should
we
have
do it,
3
we
bids.
do attempt. We try very hard to get 3.
Yeah,
I think the last time we came in, we did have 3.
because we're dealing with that on another board right now.
I understand.
And
These,
we can't
and again,
favor
these
one
were,
over another.
as he said, a couple years ago, we ordered these exact same kits from this company. And so we just need, it's basically all the same equipment. So that's why we got the quote from them.
Will this equipment help us to have continued continuity for streaming? We just had it just recently, I believe it was the last board meeting, where we lost the stream in the middle, and it was put out fragmented on Facebook, so in 2 separate sections. So is this going to help resolve that issue?
I mean, this is unrelated to that. Unfortunately, that's either a TriCaster issue or a internet issue. This is just to replace camera kits, 2 camera kits, and 4 tripods. The cameras we've been using were purchased about 11 years ago. The tripods were purchased about the same time. The tripods especially are on their last legs. The cost to repair those is equal to pretty much the cost of buying new ones at this point. And so we're in the process of phasing out. Like I said, we've got 6 cameras that were purchased about 11 years ago, and this is a process to phase out the 3 that have been used the most, that going out pretty much every day. So we'll have 4 matching cameras that will be used daily, but this is unrelated to.
But that's all for within the studio?
It would be both inside and outside the studio.
Pardon?
These would be inside and outside of the studio. We would use these for shoots in the studio, whether in the kitchen or the studio space. going out to do shoots, football, sports, that kind of stuff.
I'm still, tag along with Trustee Ditkowski, I'm still struggling here to try to find out how buying cameras and tripods for outside use is going to help us with the problems that we've been having here.
Oh, I don't,
This wasn't to address any issues with, this is additional needed equipment that has been planned for.
Okay. Should we be spending money on outside usage when we should be spending money on inside usage to try to fix problems that we currently have?
But so this is part of our 3-year capital improvement plan. This is a list we worked on with the clerk's office again over the last 3 years. I guess, is there something specifically you're talking about as far as internal use?
No, I'm just talking about how when I go home after a board meeting, my wife says, the thing cut out about 2 hours and all I get was a blank screen or a frozen screen or something like that. So I'm just trying to work through this. Say if we're going to spend $15,000 on outside equipment, that's not going to help fix this problem. We're still going to have a problem. Are you going to come back to us and say, hey, we got to spend more money to fix the internal problem as opposed to the camera problem on the outside?
No, really, we should. So the broadcasting things live, I that's as I think we've set up here a number of times, it's just a tricky thing, right? So there's a lot of factors that play into that, right? Internet connection here, the internet connection at our building, the power, if the power goes out, right? The internet goes down here, we can't go out from this building. If the internet goes down at our building, we can't go out to anything. That's not true. We can't go out to our channel. We can still go out to Facebook from here. We've been, I would say 99% of cases of the meetings we've broadcast live, if it wasn't going live one place, it was going live somewhere else. So it's possible that it's gone down on the channel, but that doesn't necessarily mean it didn't still continue going out live on Facebook.
It's still recorded.
It's still recorded, it's still being broadcast, it's still available.
I think because of COVID, everyone got spoiled, they want to watch it live now.
I understand that. I understand that. I guess we've had, I know we were having an issue, I think, was it a year ago or so we were here? We were having a lot of issues with our connection in the building. I feel like we've addressed the vast majority of those. I'm frankly kind of surprised to hear this. It goes up and down, but you're going to get that with anybody. You're going to get that with Channel 7. You're going to get that with Channel 4. You're going to get that with Channel 2. That's not just a problem we have. So I guess if you're looking for a resolution to address going out live, we talked about spending some money to improve again, this is a year ago or so, we talked about improving the quality of our Comcast connection here. We're near the limit basically at our building, other than going to just entirely using a fiber wire, I believe. The infrastructure, Comcast infrastructure is just not great around here. That's really all I can say. I know we went, was it a month or two ago we went down? Well, Comcast went down all up and down Van Dyke. It was down here, it was down up in Bruce Township. We don't have any control over that.
How is this going to address the issue? We just had an open house ribbon cutting ceremony at Romeo Ford, and WBRW was not there.
Sure.
Why aren't we're buying, so now we want to buy extra equipment, another $15,000 worth of equipment, but we're not doing our own events in our township. So I'm struggling to keep paying more money when we're not doing the events here in Washington. Why is that?
That's fair. That's a fair question. So we were invited to the original scheduled opening, which I think was at the end of May 25th or something. I don't know. I can't tell you the date off the top of my head. And then that was canceled. And then we weren't invited again. I think there was a miscommunication. That's nobody's fault. It's our fault more than anybody's. But
you guys were here recording the meeting the Wednesday before the ribbon cutting, so it was right there in front of you. And so I struggle as to why we're not covering events in Washington Township. This is where the money's coming out of. I struggle spending more money when our events are not getting covered here.
Sure, that's fair.
What can we do to improve that?
Well,
What can we do to improve that?
So I think I would say we do a pretty good job of producing community programming. Our contract calls for us to do about 250 programs a year. We do about 320. So we are beyond our contractual obligations to the township. There's, stuff like business openings, that gets weird because we weren't invited by the township to cover that. That was a business event. They didn't invite us to cover it. Should we have covered it? Yeah, we should have covered
You
it.
need an invite to go to a ribbon cutting.
Well, so I
within
guess,
our township.
so would you like us to cover every ribbon cutting? It becomes kind of a weird thing.
Yeah, I talked to Matt from now on. I think like every week I'll give him an update as well. I mean, I think the funny thing is I was going to go to the original ribbon cutting and he told me it was canceled. I didn't even know it was canceled. And then I knew about the new date, but I assumed he knew it. And so that's what I told him.
Spoke at here.
Yeah, and I was told the wrong
Wednesday, that
time
meeting
too on
prior,
top of it. So I was,
Which was just 3 days prior to the ribbon.
So I guess all I can say is,
I know it was
we'll
brought up
continue
at the
to
meeting. You're correct. I mean,
we'll continue to emphasize covering as much as we can.
We're spending almost $300,000 in the township here, and we're not getting events covered in the township. I think we need to do a better job.
Sure. Was there anything else? I mean, other than that, is there anything else you were concerned about as far as event coverage?
We have a lot of businesses here that I've never seen you cover, and yet I've seen multiple.
We try. I mean, I'll be honest, we try. I mean, we've reached out to 30-plus businesses in the last 2 years to do promotional programming with them, and they're either too busy, they're not interested. I know it's been a weird couple of years with COVID and all that.
Well, we have a lot more than 30 businesses here.
Well, we've got our time committed doing other things as well. So it can't be all covering businesses, unfortunately.
Just to belabor the conversation, we belong to the Romeo Chamber of Commerce, do we not? Okay. If we belong to that, wouldn't they be aware of any new business openings that are happening around here? And why aren't they contacting WBRW to let them know?
We're also members, and that's a good question.
Okay.
We don't get any communication from them.
So then why are we in,
Well, that's a good question.
so why are
I've
we
been
in?
invited to the other. Like I said, this one for some reason I don't know what happened.
I mean, it's my fault. We should have been there, obviously, like I said, but.
Yeah.
I see it as a communication issue. And if
I see a couple of those every year. and
just
it's like-
stating it at a meeting doesn't necessarily carry on to getting it on our calendar. If someone knows of something that's coming up, if you shoot us an email, we'll put it on the calendar. We just need to know what's happening and where. We can't be everywhere all the time. We're doing the best we can, I think. And Matt and I just had this conversation a day or two ago about the local businesses and getting out to them more. I was even unaware that we've been trying. Megan, especially from our office, has been contacting people and seeing if they will let us come in and do a spot on their business, and they don't want it. Either they don't want us, or they don't have time, or there's some reason why they don't do it. It's not like we're not trying. We are trying. We know what our obligation is to the township, and we're trying very hard to meet it.
I know I had a conversation with another trustee, and Bruce Township just recently replaced Mitt TV, and they're now doing all their own recordings at a greatly reduced cost. And they're being very successful at it. And so I'm going to go back to where we're spending almost $300,000 a year, and we're not getting businesses and events covered in Washington Township. We have to be better than that for that kind of money.
Can I read my report?
Pardon?
Can I read my report?
In addition to this, I've also asked them if they could give us a brief update as to what they have been doing.
Sounds good. Thank you.
And you all should have a copy of this. In 2022, WBRW-TV has continued to develop and produce quality programming and provide more opportunities to watch live events on our channels website, and social media. Between January 1st of 2022 and today, the WBRW TV staff have produced more than 150 programs, including approximately 30 sporting events, 30 meetings, and many community events. Some unique things we did this year include a live broadcast of the Romeo High School graduation ceremony from Oakland University, which hundreds of viewers watched on our website. We have live episodes of the intern-produced 2-Minute Warning. We had programs on the Woodcarvers Group and highlights of the Washington Township Fire Department. We are continuing to produce regular programming such as the Supervisor's Update, Megan's Munchies, Business Spotlights, and our newly relaunched Around the Community. We are currently in the planning stages for a series of short overviews of the township's various departments and officials, which could possibly be posted on the township website. We would like to meet with the executive committee in the near future to determine if this is something you would like to pursue and how we can work together to accomplish this. We had 4 work-study interns with us during 21 and 22 school year. 3 of those have graduated from Romeo High School in June. This summer, we have 7 interns and are anticipating having 4 or 5 work-study interns in our building during this school year. The summer interns are learning to develop, write, film, and archive programming of their choice, as well as to work with the WBRW staff on our programming. WBRW was named a founding partner at Romeo High School this spring, and we now have our logo placed on the wall in the common space along with the other founding partners. I believe there were 8 others. We have finished installing the Roku service, and it is now available for residents to view our programming. We are in the process of getting new WBRW TV logo gear for the staff, interns, and contractors. We hope this will make it easier for the residents to notice us while we are out in the community. We will be working to update our website this summer and continue to look for grants and sponsorships. We have had some local response from Meijer, Kroger, and Target. However, major sponsorships have to come from their corporate offices. The local offices have passed this information on, but we have yet to hear anything further. On behalf of the Board of Directors of Michigan Community Media, I would like to thank I would like to thank the Board of Trustees for your continuing support.
I want to say congratulations to WBRW for that honor of being chosen as a founding partner at Romeo High School. That was really huge. The
Thank you.
ceremony was beautiful, and
Thanks.
congratulations.
It dates back quite a few years, how that founding father thing came about. Matt, if you can enlighten the studio audience and the residents that are watching on how that came about?
Sure, yeah, I'll do my best.
Thank you.
Yeah, so back in 2008 or so, when the township was looking to transition from the old tri-community agreement that oversaw WBRW TV, one of the emphasis that came out of that elected board was here in Washington was that they wanted WBRW to offer more of a opportunity for Romeo students to get a chance to train, to get an education outside of their regular education through our station. And so when Michigan Community Media took over the operation in 2010-ish, we formed, WBRW TV formed a video production club at the Retzi Center. The staff at the time, including Paul D'Angelo, who's still with us, would go over there regularly, take computers that were purchased by the township. They were iMacs. There was 8 or 10 of them. and going in after school, and there was a group of kids who were coming in, and that club, and they would do projects, they do shoots, and they do editing, and they would, the staff was teaching them how to use that gear. And then over the course of a few years, the club got bigger and bigger, and at some point within a couple of years, they decided to go to the school board and talk to them about making it into a curriculum, and they developed a video production class, and I think within a year or two of that, that had 100-something kids in it over several sessions, and then that really was an important part of the district moving towards this career technical education format that they have now. And so they have a video production program there now. It's the media production pathway, and we've been, I'd say, an integral part. I don't want to give us too much credit. We've done a lot of work there, but the teacher Stephanie Harbison really has been the most important person as far as that program goes. But helping with equipment and getting them set up and what that facility looks like when they built their new classroom over there. And so and as Phyllis said, we've had interns going back a few years. This will be our third school year with work-study interns who get credit towards their schooling at the high school. We grade them and that sort of thing. So, thanks for asking.
I don't know if you saw several of the students that we had last year took part in was it a film festival at the DIA?
DAFT.
They won awards. Several of our.
Yeah, one of our interns who graduated, he got he called a lot of sports for us. He got some dollars to go to Albion and be part of their.
Was that Gabe?
Gabe, it was Gabe, yeah. He got some money to go to Albion, and he's on. As odd as it sounds, he's participating in their e-gaming program, which is essentially a sports team where they play video games. He didn't have any background in it. He was interested in just more traditional sports, but they approached him because of his background calling games and his involvement in doing his own show. And they said, we want you to come and be a part of our program. And so I think it's a brand new program. I think it's only the second year. So he's going to be there this fall. And then, our other kids are great too. And they won a lot of awards this last year. And good kids, hard workers. And the group we have coming in are also really good kids too. So we're excited about having them.
I would like to say if you could keep in contact with him and try to get some information back from him, or if he comes back in town, shoot something that lets people know what he's been doing and what's going on there at Adrian College.
Can do.
Adrian Albion.
Albion.
And then I believe it was Nico Traki that also did a short clip, and that was at the DIA.
Right.
Yeah. Nico's he was a work-study intern this last year. He's going to be one for us this year coming up. He's a summer intern. He's really, he's done a lot of great work for us, for himself, for the school. He's won some awards. I suspect he'll win a lot more. He's really talented and a hard worker. And like I said, I think Phil said, we've got 6 other interns this summer from the high school who are all going to, I assume, win awards and go on to do cool things too. So they're all really smart, creative kids.
It's nice to watch those individuals progress.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
I know Paul's sitting back there. I have to give one more recognition to Paul, because Paul's been instrumental with the schools as well over there. So Paul D'Angelo, thank you for what you've been doing when working with the schools and getting their program going.
Yeah, wouldn't be there without Paul, that's for sure.
Stone Cold Paul.
Wait, Paul, there you go.
Wake up, Paul. Go ahead, Sam, you had something to say?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve the new equipment for $15,921.75.
I'll support.
Motion by Praviti, seconded by Babinski. Roll call.
Praviti?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Tatowski?
Yes.
Did you skip you?
Oh, I'm sorry, did I say? Yes. I'm a yes. Olad?
Yes.
And Kopp?
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate all the input and keep it better.
Mr. Supervisor, a couple of issues were brought up with WBRW with communication. How can we improve that so that we have the chamber, so that they notify people, so that WBRW, so that the board is notified? Why have a chamber if they're not going to let us know?
That's what I told Matt. I told him maybe once a week we'll have like a 15, 20-minute meeting, go over all the events that are happening, and this way we're both touching base. And
all right, and how are we going to let the board know?
Yeah, we could shoot an email to everybody. That's fine.
All right,
Do that.
yeah. We don't
I told them it doesn't have to be a long
We want to
meeting,
make
just a
sure that
15-minute
we're
thing.
spotlighting and doing what we need to do
Oh, yeah.
for Washington Township. This is where your money's coming from.
Next is elected officials update. So we got our second half of the ARPA funds came in. So I'd like to maybe, after the primary election, maybe do some sort of, maybe, I don't know if we call it a workshop, just but for us to kind of discuss the different options to spend this money. Obviously, road work's a top priority, but I know internet's becoming a big, or has been a big issue. I also met with the county. They had the 5 townships, us, Bruce, Armada, Ray Township, and Lennox. We met with Comcast representatives, and Dana's actually been meeting with Comcast. The last month, she's been sending them all our new developments and stuff, so we're trying to make sure Comcast is going in areas nearby. So we've also reached out with AT&T, but I feel like they're still a ways away. Comcast is a lot closer to getting more connections, but there are some grants we're looking at to see if we can get those. Armada got awarded a grant recently for a section, so we're trying to see if we can apply for some of that. But that's another possibility with the ARPA funds. So if you guys want to think about which, maybe sometime in mid-August, I can shoot out a few dates and
Yes.
we can start talking about it. But if you guys want to start thinking of ideas, altogether, we got a little over 2.8 million, which I know can go pretty fast. It sounds like a lot, but
So do we want to do this as like a committee of the whole?
I mean, I'd like to make it an official so we can all meet and discuss, but it'll have to be
Workshop
a
style.
workshop style, yeah, just. Or I was thinking if you guys want to meet before one of our regular meetings, make that a workshop and then go into the meeting, or if that's too long,
No, that's a good idea.
I don't know.
Our meetings, hey, we went through 6-hour meetings before, that's.
I know, we're trying to
Yeah.
beat the 9 o'clock. But I mean, if you guys like either August 10th or August, what's the other one, 25th?
Oh, yeah, August 10th is our meeting.
I mean, if you guys want to do like a 4 o'clock meeting, then we take a break and then go to 6:30 or something, either date, I don't know.
On August 10th, you're saying?
Either the 10th or 25th, or we could do both, whatever. But we've been calling other communities, and I've been talking to other supervisors too. I mean, road work obviously is the number one thing in a lot, but internet's a top thing, and other local amenities too, I mean, whatever. But,
So-
I mean, if you guys like the idea of August 10th, we could do that,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'll send out a notice and throw it on the calendar. I'm good with it.
I mean,
Yep. Good with me.
Yep.
Stan will buy pizza.
There you go.
Even Little Caesars is expensive.
So wait, staying on that same subject, if you don't mind, I actually already wrote something. I would like the board to give serious consideration to offering some relief to the people involved in the Hidden Valley SAD in the form of up to $350,000 of ARPA money to cover the increase from their original estimate. It is not in the spirit of any special assessment district to cause people financial hardship and the possibility of losing their homes. When this process first began, no one could have anticipated this huge cost increase. And the fact that this road is so bad that school buses won't even drive on it makes this an extraordinary circumstance. Plus, they have 2 drains that they're stuck with fixing, that the county should be fixing personally. As a non-entitlement use, I think we can spend some of this money to relieve those poor people in Hidden Valley so they don't have to lose their houses.
No, yeah, I like that idea. We should explore it, for sure.
Can I follow up with that? Bob, with the process that we're in with Hidden Valley right now, is there a time limit that where we have to, with that proposal, that we have to hurry up and do something, or?
I'm not sure what, we just finished Hidden Valley, right?
We haven't spread the roll or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the work hasn't really started.
That's the one we did last meeting, where we adopted Resolution 3, and we're going to hold off until the county.
Till they finish the work and then
Right,
come up
right,
with the
right,
with the
right.
spread.
When the people started it, They didn't.
No, I remember. I remember the numbers
So, I mean,
came in
They kind of
huge.
got sticker shock with this 250, so.
I think the greater question is going to be, and this may be a Plant Moran question, whether you can use ARPA funds for that, but
I
that's.
called them today.
Oh, okay.
They didn't return my call yet, but I
Okay,
called
you're
them.
going to have to, that you're going to have to definitely find
Yeah,
that
no,
out.
yeah, we can double check.
But we have time
Anything
because
that we
I,
normally spend on, we can spend on. It's pretty much what the ARPA fund.
okay, well, I'm not an expert
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
use of ARPA, so.
I mean,
you know.
I think it's fine because they're not paying back on it, so it should be fine,
Yeah.
but we'll double check.
Yeah, we can't use it on an SAD,
Yeah, we can use it on this.
but if we pay for the drain separately,
Yeah.
What would the exact question be to Plant Moran then?
Whether or not whether or not you can use ARPA funds to provide relief to homeowners that are in SAD. I mean, this is a private residential development that's paying to upgrade a public road. And I don't know that, again, I'm not an ARPA expert, but the question is going to be whether or not you can use these federal funds to provide relief to a residential development on a road that benefits only them. And I don't know that answer.
What if we call it that the township is using the ARPA funds to pay for the cost of the drains and just take the drain part out of it?
Again, I don't, Mike can answer that, whether or not, if you're
she's
constructing a
basically asking
drain.
the same thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know.
There is language in the funding, I'm over here.
Oh, hi, there you are. It's a voice.
I was going to just let you just keep looking around.
Look for the shiny
There is language that allows it to be, for that money to be used for stormwater improvements. It's specifically called out.
Right.
The question, I think, is going to be, because that project is an SAD, is there some hair on it that way? So there may be, we may have to potentially remove that portion of the work from that project, and the township simply funds it as a separate entity. There's a little bit of issues with the county, and it's a 50/50 program, we got all kinds of stuff, but I know the actual work that's being done is an eligible cost. It's just, is this precluded because of the way it's being funded? But certainly, Plant Moran's your expert, man. They got people that have read that thing inside and out.
Okay, thanks.
I have a couple items, maybe for the next meeting. We haven't had a sheriff's report update in the last couple of months.
Yeah, I do have that. I'll send it tomorrow morning, but I didn't put it in time for the report. But actually, that was my next item to bring up here. I made copies. If you guys, I'd like to talk about this at the next meeting, if you guys are interested. So we were finally able to get that, the traffic trailer. So we put, I think it was several days in Glacier Club. We put it on 28 Mile. There's been snow, so maybe it's mine. So the liaison we have, he gave us basically 4 quotes. These are who they deal with. So basically, we can use that trailer from the county, but you get 2 weeks out of the year, basically. So other townships are now starting to buy their own. These are 4 different versions, but if you guys, the cover sheet's the website. If you guys want to look at it for the next meeting, they range from $2,500 to $8,400 a piece, but obviously the more expensive one has the more bells and whistles. You can stick a USB in there, you get more data. They're solar controlled, more expensive. The less expensive ones are just, they basically just flash the speed and kind of, control the traffic a bit. But I think it might be worth the investment to have our own so we can stick them wherever we want throughout the township. But if you guys want to look it over for the next meeting, but.
Mr. Supervisor, I saw some not too long ago that are a lot less costly, but you would mount them in a fixed location.
Yeah.
And instead of having a trailer there, because there are probably a couple of areas in the township where a fixed location one would actually work, and you could still stick a USB into there. The one type, though, that I did see that's pretty reasonable is they have to take it down every 2 weeks, charge it, and then stick it back up there.
Yeah, and that's the only, they're a little bit less expensive, but yeah, then it's more the charging. The more expensive, they have the solar, the battery's more of a backup. Again, it's what we want and what we want to spend. But I think it's worth it to own at least a couple to have. in our
Volunteer
township.
to put it on Glacier Club to try it out.
But maybe Glacier Club can sponsor one.
I'm wishing.
How about right here in front of the township here on Van Dyke, when they pass you in the center lane?
But I know what everyone's question is going to be. They only quoted, they deal with this company called Stalker Radar, and this is their website, All Traffic Solutions, but they're familiar with Stryker, it's called, so if we do go forward, they prefer this vendor. I don't know if the board's going to have an issue with that or not, so.
If we would pay them and then that would pay the company, is that what you're suggesting?
They have, yeah, I guess they have a contract, but we
Yeah,
would
that makes
still, we would still own it, obviously.
Yeah, sure, sure.
But they're familiar, they have all the, they know how to operate and whatever, but obviously I'm not an expert in this, so I.
I was in Lake Orion, and then, like, one of the subs, they had a stationary one. They had like a solar panel.
No, I mean, they must exist. I mean, if you read each one, they show you all the different capabilities, but they were obviously excited about the more expensive one with the USB because they can download a lot of the data and the times and when people speed.
So would we actually own these, or would we be renting these?
We'd buy.
No, this would be ours, and we'd have it all year long. The one we get from the county, we get it 2 weeks out of the year.
So all of these quotes here are for
Us to purchase.
us to purchase?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we can go online and look at and see what each
Yeah,
one
I
of these
put,
is about.
the website didn't print, but it's called alltrafficsolutions.com. You just put the .com in.
Thank you.
The other update, so our limestone program, Mike Pollard was actually in the office, so he was aware of it when it happened, but we got a phone call. Rich told us, because of fuel prices, they increased it by $2,000, so Stan, myself, and Mike Pollard made the decision to spend the $2,000. Our hands were kind of tied at that. We're throwing Mike Pollard under the bus.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Mike, did you write a check yet?
Yeah, how much did you pay out of that?
Where's the money going? I didn't hear that
Was that a
part.
board meeting, $100?
Mike's retirement fund.
But, I mean, as you can tell from the pricing we got from Limestone tonight, I mean, it's still a really good program. Our master plan workshop is coming up Monday night at 6 o'clock. WBRW is invited. And then, I don't know if Mike Darcy wants to talk.
Testing 1, 2?
Hopefully the internet will be working that night. We have Mike Darcy here, who's the president of the Romeo Washington Library.
Romeo District Library.
Romeo District Library, sorry, threw our name in. But I don't know if you wanted to give a quick update or not. I know tonight they voted on, that's why Rich was late.
Welcome, Mike. It's been a while. How you been? Good.
Rich drove him over back. No, I'm joking.
No, I just wanted to say that thanks for the help from Rich. Tonight, we approved to hook up the sewer at the library. It was a lot of questions, and Rich handled them all perfectly, so thank you to Rich.
Which Rich was it?
What's that?
Rich.
Which Rich was it?
Yeah, so no, everything was good, and really appreciate the help. So
Now you have a lot of land behind the building there.
That's right.
What are you ever going to do with
They're
it?
going to put a splash park back there.
We're going to put another fire department back there, maybe. I don't know.
You want a chief hat?
Or how about a
we can make it an honorary.
helicopter pad for you guys, something like that.
To go after the coyotes?
I don't know. So, yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
No, thank you.
It's good news.
Oh, I was wondering, Mike, did they talk about that mobile library or no? Or I know they were talking about bringing
Yes,
it here.
I shared that information with Claire, and she was going to try to set something up to do the mobile library at the township here.
Okay, no, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the library has that mobile.
The
truck.
The mobile
Yep.
truck and.
Bookmobile.
Yeah, so they'll be bringing it here to the township, hopefully a couple times this summer to people who are interested.
Yep, so thank you for that.
No,
Yep.
thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Are you done?
Yeah, I guess I'm done.
Okay. I've got a couple things I want to talk about. Who said that?
I don't know. It's 9:05.
9:05. We're already past 9 o'clock, so I can go on for days. MTA, Michigan Township Association. I attended a conference Monday and Tuesday of this week, and it was very informative. The three topics were defining your township's land use future, which was a full day on Monday, and then yesterday it was strategic planning for townships in the morning, and in the afternoon it was called Making Meetings Work. So what I would like to do is I started jotting down some notes. I would like to put this on the agenda for next time and basically take the board through a review of what I learned and educate you in terms of what I learned. So everybody, I'm going to train the trainers. We did have a memorial meeting today at Lombardo, and we did get some good news. If you've driven by the site at 27 and Van Dyke, you see that they're starting to move dirt around. They've got stakes in the ground for all the foundations that are going to go in for the granite, all the monuments, park benches that are going to be going in. So they fully expect that they're going to start probably by the end of next week. They're going to actually start getting serious about it. And they're looking for probably conclusion. I'm going to say probably because it's a lot dependent on probably around the end of September to have that thing done. So we're targeting to hopefully have a ribbon cutting. We'll invite the chamber to it. Around November the 11th for Veterans Day. So hopefully that'll take care of that. We still do have probably about 6,000 bricks that we can sell. And I think we've got 16 trees or something like that that are still available. So if you're interested in helping to support the memorial, let me know. There's flyers that are out in the lobby that you can sign up for, and the township will get them over to me. Lastly, I have a little editorial here that I would like to read because I think this is something that I take very seriously. And it's basically, I start out by saying I do not intend to bring politics to the board table. However, when misinformation about the board's action is spread, we have a responsibility to ensure that the public receives accurate information. It has been said that many residents were horrified that 5 members of the board decided to give themselves a pay raise in 2020 in the middle of a pandemic when families and businesses were struggling. I want the residents to be clear. In all 4 years from 2004 and 2008, the Board of Trustees voted themselves 3% raises. For those who remember this period, we were in a horrible downturn in the economy, and yet the board voted themselves 3% raises. The current trustees had not had a raise in compensation since the last one that was approved in 2008. There was 13 years without a raise. The current board, based on a comment from Peggy DeVos, decided to take a look at the compensation, and after a detailed study, voted to raise their pay to equal the midpoint of the surrounding communities. If the trustees would have been given a 3% raise every year for the last 13 years, their pay would be higher than what is being paid them today by $170. Note that in 2008 election, all of the board members except the treasurer were not reelected. There are also comments in 2018, the residents by an 85% margin wanted to keep Parks and Rec together and continue to work with Bruce Township and the Village of Romeo, and that many board members still wanted to dismantle Parks and Rec and make changes to Star Transportation. The vote referred to was put to the residents to increase the Parks and Rec millage to fund the purchase of a new potential community center. It had nothing to do with dismantling of Parks and Rec. Linking those two issues was a scheme undertaken to scare the public, and it worked. As was demonstrated here tonight by the work done by both Washington and Bruce Township, this dismantling is once again proven to be untrue. Never was the goal to dismantle Parks and Rec or Star, only to make it a legal entity, which we have now done, pending a vote of the Bruce Board of Trustees, which our tough stance has allowed us to do. Please do your diligence and study the facts. I'm only trying to set the record straight. Thank you.
Thanks.
So I have 2 items. First would be August 14th. Hopefully they show up for our hazardous waste. That will be on the Saturday, August 14th, and I believe that is from 9 to 1 for some reason, not 9 to 12. I can confirm that. Secondly, we do have an election going on August 2nd. Approximately a little over 4,100 absentee ballot requests had come in and had started sending them out just before the 4th of July weekend. We've already received probably close to 1,000 back. So if you're requesting an absentee ballot, you can still do that. Get a hold of us at the township. And that's all I have.
Did you say August 14th? It's August 13th.
The hazardous waste?
Yeah, it's August 13th.
That was a
from 9
Saturday.
on a Saturday. Saturday, right?
13th.
August 13th.
Yeah, I just read the sign out that was in the lobby, so maybe we need to update out there too.
Yeah, it's August 13th.
Yeah.
Unless I've got the wrong year, but I think I had.
We didn't subtract the day off.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have just one update from the Macomb Orchard Trail Commission. We met and we did discuss about the crossing signs across the major roads, the caution signs, to warn people to slow down in those areas and per the state law to give the pedestrian the right of way. That is currently being evaluated at the executive office in the county. So once they review it, they will make their recommendation and they will move forward on it. And then the other thing is this I mentioned to the board a few months ago, that there's a bike repair station that is happening at 29 Mile on the Macomb Orchard Trail, and this is being handled by an Eagle Scout. That is also being coordinated through the executive office, so that will be coming through shortly. So good things happening in the township.
I have a question for you, Dan. I had a resident come in the other day, and between 28 and 29, he said the path had been mowed, or he didn't call it mowing, he said hacked. Was there trimming or something being done?
Yes, so actually it was taken back on 6 feet on each side of the trail, and it was pushed back because of the amount of overgrowth. There were vines that had overgrown, the trees were coming down and that. So this is something that the county roads goes through and they clear it and they clear past it every few years. And if they don't do that, you're going to have the huge growth there and the trees coming down. So that is something that they needed to do. It may initially look like it's hacked. One thing about Mother Nature, she knows how to recover.
Okay. No correspondence?
No, I sent you out correspondence through email today. It came from the Willow Ridge subdivision, was not addressed by anyone, did not ask to read. So I'll include this in the board package with the Viridian residential development on 26 Miles. So you all should have had received hard copy as well as an email.
I want to give a copy to Kozak. If we can. Yeah, no, I'm just saying that because he wants to read. Okay, community announcements. Again, the master plan workshop is Monday at 6 o'clock.
And I think August 12th is what I said? Yeah, there's an election on the 2nd.
And August 13th.
August 12th is the Romeo Football Nights, the new program they're going to be doing, so haven't seen a whole lot on that, but I think that's still going on.
And our next board meeting, the 24th.
10th.
The 10th.
What's the subject on the master
Wait,
plan meeting on
you
Monday?
might be
What's
right, the 24th.
What's the, what are we talking about?
It's all the township.
Community
facilities. All the community.
Okay.
10th and 24th.
Yep.
It's section 7, sorry, section 7. If you go on to the township website under master plan,
Yeah.
you can read that whole section. That's what's going to be discussed.
Yeah, I have that. I just wondered if they wanted to say it out loud at the
Oh,
meeting so
okay.
people, yeah, thank you.
Okay, then, if there's nothing else, I'd like to make a motion to go into closed session for 2 items. One, for strategy and negotiation sessions connected with the negotiation of collective bargaining agreement pursuant to Section 8C of the Open Meetings Act. And 14.2, to consider the purchase of a real property pursuant to Section 8D of the Open Meetings Act.
Support.
Okay, Tatowski, you got it. Nope, I give it to you.
You got it.
Roll call.
Praviti?
Yes.
Tatowski?
Yes.
Babinski? Yes. Olson?
Yes.
Yes.
Kopp?
Yes.
And Polat?
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. So the camera's going to be off for a while till we're in closed session. We'll be back shortly. I guess the mic's already off. Make a motion to go back into open session.
Support?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Any other motions?
Yes, I have a motion to, this is a continuation of when we selected the bargaining committee that, which consists of Mr. Babinski, Mr. Bravidi, and Mr. Kopp, that Mr. Kopp be compensated for his time working on the bargaining committee. I propose that Mr. Kopp get an average pay hourly for his time involved in that, taking the supervisor's pay and the clerk's pay, adding those together, getting an average hourly rate of those two, and then that's what we pay him. So that is my motion.
I'll support that.
Okay, motion by Dukowski, seconded by Olson. If no questions, roll call.
Did you do any calculations?
I did not do any
Just
calculations.
put the math formula in the motion. Probably not.
You know, you're basically taking salary, dividing it by 2, dividing it by 2080, and then that's the hourly rate.
Does anyone
40
else care?
hours or what we really were?
That's what I was going to say, too.
Gary, you may have to pay us back.
This is going crazy, okay.
If you don't mind, we take a second here and.
No, not at all.
Calculating. Someone wants to double check my math, that's fine.
I'm right there
So
with
we
you.
have 88,040, is that what you're at too, Sam, or is it 88 straight?
I thought it was 88 straight, but it could be
Okay.
40. I don't know.
I don't remember the other, mine's 40 or 400, I think mine's 40.
The
Well, why don't we
the
just
middle's
round down
86.
to the lower?
86.
So let's say 86 is
Take
the middle.
86 divided by
Yeah,
The 20.
2080.
divide that by 2080.
He's worth more than you.
0.
And then multiply that by 10.
I don't know what they're doing over there.
4134. We went around it to 42 or 40?
42.
No, 41.
I don't care.
Mr. Kopp, if it's okay with you, I'd like to round it down to 41.
Fine, I'm good with that.
That's my amended motion.
Okay.
I will still support that.
All right, that's what end of my questions.
Okay, roll call.
Gutowski,
Yes?
Olson,
Yes.
does he vote since he's
You
being
voted on the
compensated?
salary increase, so I don't see why not.
Okay.
I'd say yeah.
Cop,
Yes.
does Polad?
Yes.
Roviti? I'm a yes.
Okay, motion passed.
I make a
Motion
motion
to-
to adjourn.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you. Thank you, WBRW. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.